What's up, everybody? It's NiceGuyAndy podcast. You know what we do. It's Wednesday night. We watch wrestling. We talk to wrestlers. And it's Wednesday night, and we have special guest Scott Diamond from for the Diamond Cartel, New South Wrestling, in the house.
How's everybody out there?
And, you know, like always, we have Johnny Superfly Johnny Lee.
What's up, what's up?
And Sean Johns, the Wrestling Encyclopedia.
Hello, everybody.
Anybody else you want to talk about, Andy?
Special guest. I'm kidding to use special guests. Special guests and superstar of up-and-coming superstar Austin Diamond.
There we go.
There we go.
The
Austin
reflection
Diamond's
of
in here.
perfection, the shaman of superiority, the guru of greatness. I am God's gift to women. I am simply everything you had ever thought about being and then some. Johnny Lee gets it. Sean Johns can lick my boots, and you can too. Now, with that being said, I got here, showed up with a little bit of breakfast. Let's see, I woke up about an hour ago. It's all your privilege, your pleasure, you're welcome. Now, with that being said, I did get breakfast for everybody that matters. I got a cookie for myself, Mr. Diamond, and Johnny Lee. Don't worry, guys. They had about 6 cookies, so I bought 3 of them.
Awesome, man.
Oh my goodness, Andy, Johnny, and let's not leave out the big guy in the back. You know, Sean John's there.
I'm sorry it's kind of hot in here, guys. The studio, the air conditioner is kind of funny in here, so.
Hey, you know, anytime Austin Scott Diamond's around, the heat's always picking up anyway.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for having us. We got a lot going on. First of all, I want to let the fans know if you got anything going on you want to talk about, you want to ask Scott Diamond, you want to ask Austin Diamond anything, feel free, chime in here. You know, send your message to Sean Johns or Johnny Lee or Andy. We'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. Also, we're going to touch on some big things coming up, you know, in the sport of professional wrestling here. Sean Johns or Johnny Lee or Andy.
Oh, no.
You know, we got New South, as Andy talked about. Big thing going on this Sunday. We have my main man, you know, Adrian Alexander. He is carrying the Nice Guy Andy podcast championship. You know, Anthony Presley, I don't know what I've done. Apparently, he feels a little disrespectful to the Diamond Cartel. You know, the new cartel. I was not allowed to be at ringside when Matt Atreya got his match. In order to get a shot at the title, he had to beat Double A, and of which he came across with the 1, 2, 3. But I was not allowed at ringside. I was not allowed to advise my client during the match. So therefore, I feel like Mr. Presley, you know, he disrespected us a little bit. But, you know, I know Mr. Presley is probably watching this right now. Feel free to call in. You know, we're going to have a meeting in the office anyway this week. But so we do have the Nice Guy Andy podcast being put on the line this week at New South Wrestling this Sunday. Matt Atreya, the challenger, versus Adrian Alexander, the champion.
That's right. And we got 2 comments now. We got Eric Montgomery, a.k.a. Easy to DJ, DJ Easy. He said, hide your wives, cousins, sisters, etc. Scott and Austin Diamond are in the house. And Ben Sheeran said, Scott Diamond deserves better at New South. That's right. You do.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. You know, Eazy-E, I've known this guy a long time. He actually used to travel with us a little bit. He was the personal he was the personal DJ to the Diamond Cartel. Anywhere we'd go, he'd go. I mean, he does a great job. Anybody out there looking for some DJ work, talk to Eazy-E Montgomery. Does a great job. And you said somebody else had shouted out there?
Ben Sheeran.
Ben Sheeran. Hey, here's another catch. You know, I'm working with this young guy. He's doing great things. You know, he's running around with Oliver Gunner. He is not just the big thing in Kentucky. Oliver Gunner is from across the water, and Ben Sheeran is taking him to levels that he's never been before. You know, he's putting gold around his waist. They're doing great things. Keep up the good work, Ben. Keep up the good work, Oliver.
What kind of gold does he have?
Oliver, I don't know that he's carrying gold at the moment, but he has been put in several. He's had several opportunities at the moment against gold. He is getting those title shots.
He has a podcast belt.
Yeah, the Ring General's title.
The Ring
General's title. There you go.
Ring General's title. That's out of Grindhouse.
Out of Grindhouse
Pro Wrestling there in Jeffersonville, Indiana.
Heck yeah.
You know, and former Grindhouse Tag Team Champion as well, Double A, Andrew Alexander and Oliver Gunner. Again, Ben Sharon took them to gold. Kudos, young man. Keep studying your Scott Diamond films, and you're going to go places in this business. Hell, you're already going places.
That's right. DJ, Easy to DJ, he said, just let me recover from surgery number 4 before it hit me up. I feel like I got ran over by Frank the Tank.
Hey, Frank the Tank, wow.
Blast from the past.
It is definitely a blast from the past. He's my brother, younger brother, but he is my brother. He's living in Las Vegas right now. And all I got to do is make a call. Frank the Tank will be on an airplane from Vegas to Lexington, and he'll be right up in somebody's face. We want to give a shout out to him, since they're mentioning him, Frank the Tank, if you're watching this, brother, much love. We'll see you soon, because, Scott Diamond's always got something up his sleeve, and when he's being disrespected, he makes phone calls, and when he makes phone calls, big things happen. Believe it, and then you're going to see it here real soon.
That's
Speaking
true.
of which, I'm going to go out on record right now, Andy, and I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let all these fans know. I spoke to Johnny earlier today. He's okayed it, and as long as he's okayed it, then it's going to happen. The Diamond Cartel, the new Diamond Cartel, we are going to infiltrate the Nice Guy Andy podcast on August the 12th. We're going to do another takeover, Johnny. Johnny's going to be right in the corner with Austin Diamond and myself and our special guest. But I'm going out right now, Andy, and telling you, Sean, and Johnny, again, we talked about it earlier today.
I never have a problem with you coming by, Scott. You always got the big money, and you always be sharing it.
Hey.
So I never have a problem with the Diamond Cartel ever showing up to the
Diamond
podcast.
Cartel is
Somebody has
always-
to pop ratings around
Hey,
here.
you know what? I am not afraid to grease palms, Andy, and
I
I've
know.
done that.
Yeah.
And so we will have another hostile takeover. We will have a diamond exchange here Saturday night, a special Saturday night diamond exchange right here in the Nice Guy Andy podcast. We are going to be doing a diamond exchange, and I'm going to have me a guest that you fans have not seen in a long, long time. And this secret that I'm holding right now, Johnny, it's big.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's
Big.
real big.
It's really
Huge.
Big, big.
There's
Big,
nobody
big.
bigger.
Let me tell you, there's nobody bigger, and this guest is such a big. He's going to be such a big guest. People are going to be calling in from all over the
You got
country.
chairs big enough for him?
You know what? We might have to get him 2 or 3 chairs and put them together, but this guest is going to be so big. Fans, tune in. It's going to be Saturday, August the 12th, a special edition of the Diamond Exchange right here in the studio of Andy's podcast.
Can't wait.
And we are going to have a special guest, and this guest is going to be huge. Huge.
Like Austin said, the ratings every time you guys are on here, the ratings go skyrocket through the
That's
roof.
right.
And then I get my my little fee from you guys. Well, not a fee, I guess. A fee would be like
We're never afraid to grease a
just
palm, Andy.
that little tip, I guess y'all give me. That's
right.
awesome. Helps me
Yeah,
pay for things
yeah.
around
Yes,
here. I
nicely.
appreciate
I'll
it.
give you the whole thing. How you doing?
Just the
Exactly.
tip.
You
Just
got
the
your
tip.
envelope, right?
I did get the envelope.
As long
yes,
as you
I
get your
appreciate
envelope,
it.
you know,
always appreciate you guys coming
That's
through.
right. And August 12th is going to be one of the greatest shows that we've done.
Maybe we can get the
Big.
air conditioning fixed around
That's
here.
right.
It's going to be big. I'm
Huge.
telling you.
Huge.
It is going to be huge. Fans, write it down, put it on your calendar, stamp it on your forehead so you see it every time you look in the mirror. Big surprise, August the 12th, special edition, the Diamond Exchange right here in the studio of Nice Guy Andy's podcast. Now, we're going to get away from that for a moment because people's going to be talking about that for the rest of the week.
That's right.
We will be enforcing old policies.
We certainly will be enforcing. We will not be tolerating these.
Let me take a minute here in a second to thank our some of our sponsors. We have our sponsors, Phenomenal Finds, ATL Phenomenal Finds, EWA Pro Wrestling out of Frankfort, Kentucky. We got Appalachian Mountain Wrestling out of Hazard, Kentucky.
That's right.
Bo's Tractor Works, the best CBD oil for the pains
And
and cream for your pains and your aches and pains. Get a hold of those guys. We got Matt's Games and Collectibles and much
so
more. Go up there to Eastland and check those guys out. They got all the gaming consoles that you need. We want to shout out Joe Monroe has a new podcast. Joe, go over to YouTube.
Joe Monroe Show.
The Joe Monroe Show. Joe is a really good. He's a good friend of the podcast, and
Blaze Chop's
we
still
might even
hard.
start some shit with Joe.
If he don't start it first.
Yeah, right. And Big Kahuna Barbecue, Hawaiian Barbecue, up there on Liberty Road and Winchester Road, guys. If you guys, this is Burger Week, so go over there and check out those guys. They got a hell of a nice burger over there. It's so yummy, so yummy.
Grilled pineapple on the burger.
And this going on in July the 25th at Pivot Brewery. Live Wire Entertainment and Nice Guy Andy Podcast presents Laugh Out Loud comedy series hosted by James Colby. So me and Johnny will be over there. Sean will probably be over there with us if he's not working. And James Colby has got a lineup over there, guys. Live Wire Entertainment, Jay Ritchie. Give those guys, don't forget to come over there. It's a free show, guys. All you do is show up, buy a beer,
That's all that you're doing,
tip.
actually, buying craft beer and enjoying a free show.
Tip your waiter and your waitress, and tip the comedians, and we'll have a really good time over there. That's a Tuesday night. It's July the 25th. So let's get back to the cartel business.
Mr. Russell here he just sent me a question, and he would like to know the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers for everyone here at the round table here at the Nice Guy Andy podcast. So, I know I should go first because I rate more than anybody in this whole planet, but I want to pass that off to Johnny Lee because he's our main man. I want to let you go first, Johnny. That's respect, brother. When when Scott Diamond is out here and I let you go first, that's the utmost respect to you, brother.
I understand why you let Johnny go first. When we was at the EWA last show, not the last show, but the show before that, you and Johnny was over there, and Johnny held his own with
Johnny was killing it. Let me tell you,
Scott Diamond and commentating. That was so
that's hard to do.
You do got to give I got to give props to Johnny Lee, Superfly.
Johnny, hey, props to him. He deserves it. So he wants to know what is your Mount Rushmore there, Johnny?
Well, my first pick would have to be Ric Flair, the Nature Boy.
So is Mount Rushmore? That's the four. Your four
favorites?
Your four favorite, not you who you think's the best of all time, but your four favorite.
Whichever four you prefer. Either of all time, your favorite or whatever.
Yeah,
just four that you think made the biggest impact either on you or on the business.
My second pick would have to be Dusty Rhodes himself.
Living on the end of a lightning bolt, brother.
That's
Oh,
right.
A lot of people forget
Hard
about
times.
Dusty Rhodes, man, and when they go to the Mount Rushmore but he was right up there with the Ric Flair, I think.
To pay homage to Dusty, we can never say enough.
Yeah.
And with you mentioning Ric Flair, I'll tell you how much respect Ric Flair had for Dusty Rhodes. There was a time when Richard Flair was getting into the wrestling business up there with Vern Gagne. Once he met Dusty Rhodes, he wanted to be Rowdy Randy Rhodes. He wanted to be a part of the Rhodes family.
Yeah.
So that's, man, what kind of respect is that? That Ric Flair would say that about Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty told him, baby, instead of trying to be the next Dusty Rhodes, why don't you try being the first Ric Flair?
Ooh, that's exactly right, see? And look what happened. So now we've got your first two. You're talking
That's
about
right.
the Nature Boy and the American Dream. And who's your other two, Johnny?
Ricky the Steamboat
Yep. The Dragon is something else.
and Terry Funk.
The Funker, yeah.
That's
The Funker, look, man, held his first title.
Nah. Let's look at Sean Johns, the wrestling encyclopedia.
You know the date. I never knew the date.
We don't want to embarrass Sean on his podcast. held his own title a long time ago. I'll take it easy on Sean, but at any rate, Terry, Dory, Brody, those are some great names. I've been watching some old school All Japan Pro Wrestling, and man, those guys were holding it down. Stan Hansen, excellent list you got there, Johnny.
All right, so Austin, Mr. Russell asked all of the panel here. So where is your Mount Rushmore?
All right,
Be it indie or professional, whatever.
I will specify this is strictly in America. These guys, they went elsewhere, but that's kind of my bubble of awareness. So off the top, we got to say Hogan. We just have to. Probably the most marketable guy to ever come down the pike, and it was in the peak of wrestling's golden era. Next on the list has to be Ric Flair.
That's
Ric
right.
Flair, he was everywhere. He did it all. There was never a bad match as long as the Nature Boy was in the house. And that goes from today All right, well, maybe not today. Maybe not today. We'll just leave out this decade. Anything prior to this decade now, and he was on top of it, but he's still relevant. They talked about the Ric Flair drip. Woo! And you know what? He's stayed with it, man. You know, say what you will
Even
about
got
him.
his own song named after him.
Right, you know, he's still relevant. Rick was in Evolution. He was in The Horsemen. About 6 variations of The Horsemen.
Right.
But he was the constant, you know. He was the staple.
He was always the
Everywhere.
flagship of the Horsemen, no matter what the makeup was. You're right.
Everywhere he went, good things happened. So Nate, Hogan, let's see, I think next has to be Stone Cold, you know. As Hogan kind of fell back, Steve Austin was holding it down in the WWF, the WWE, whatever you want to call it. Merch sales, mic work, ring work. He was holding it down.
Yeah.
And next on the list has to be John Cena. Because,
Oh, come on.
No, but just follow me now. Just follow me now. As all those old names fell by the wayside, just by pure age, not lack of ability or anything of the sort, but just by age, as they were phased out, there had to be somebody to fill those shoes. And you know what? The Ruthless Aggression era allowed him to be that guy. He has done more Make-A-Wish programs
That's true.
than anybody.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what? He's been in the public eye all of my life. You know, I adored him when I was younger, and you know what? He'll always have a special place now because of that. You know, he's been on the face of Fruity Pebbles. He's been on the face of the WrestleMania banner how many times? You know, for 15,
lot,
16, 17, 18 years.
And arguably, probably just as marketable as Hulk Hogan.
Right, the modern
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Modern
What-
day.
who-
equivalent.
He is.
Like, name somebody honorable mention. Who would you?
Triple H.
Yeah.
Because he too was another one.
You got to give it to him. Like
Yeah.
as far as his wrestling and stuff, I thought he was great. But then when he stepped into this role that he is in now, I think he just elevated his portfolio straight to the top.
Oh, yeah,
by
absolutely.
what he's doing right now
Certainly.
in WWE is
And he
incredible by what the booking and the storylines and stuff like they're hitting record numbers at the arenas now. Like they just hit what record numbers at
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden.
That's right.
Yeah, I do recall
crazy.
seeing that. You know, he took and made WWE relevant again. They had taken a really hard blow, you know, everybody, the tribalistic views of AEW versus WWE, you know, WWE was painted as the bad guy, and that's fine, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But Triple H took and made it relevant again. People are like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did you guys see Raw? Like, yo, whoa, wait a minute.
So who was your honorable mention, Johnny?
Marvel mentioned would have to be The Undertaker.
Undertaker.
Absolutely.
Surprised we didn't put them on.
You know, the way that he was able to evolve, you know, The Undertaker, he stayed relevant
Yeah.
by just evolving.
Yeah.
You know, he was still that same core Undertaker, but, you know, American Badass and so forth and so on. He was able to evolve with the times and still stay at the top of the hill.
Exactly. And
I compare him to, like, in music, we got Madonna. How Madonna changed her style through the years, whether good or bad, whichever. That was Taker in WWF.
yeah, he was still
only
the Taker,
difference,
but he
the only
changed-
difference is he didn't have stretch marks on his lips.
Right.
Oh, snap. Okay. That was Scott Diamond.
Just
everybody.
like a dream.
You know, for myself, I think that without a doubt for me, because this is what started it all for me, was Bobo Brazil Sr. When I seen him in the Atlanta airport in 1971, I was hooked. So first and foremost, I would have to say on my Mount Rushmore, my first guy would have to be Bobo Brazil.
Great choice.
Very huge guy, big fan favorite. Carried many single heavyweight championships. Just an all-around great guy. And he was a cornerstone of our wrestling business. You know, it was built on men like him. Then secondly, of course, I have to go with Johnny and Austin, and maybe you and Sean as well when we hear your picks. But I would be I'd be remiss if I didn't say Ric Flair, because he's had a big influence on me, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to sit and talk with him on 5 different occasions. It allowed me to evolve Scott Diamond, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, and so that would be my second choice. And again, I would have to agree with them on the American Dream. You know, Dusty Rhodes done it all. I don't care what it was. He sold popcorn. Dusty Rhodes set up rings. He sold tickets. Dusty Rhodes got in the car and drove 500 miles, you know, and wrestled 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was. Then he was one of the greatest booker and writers that this sport has ever seen. Not only in his in-ring persona, but behind the stage. He was so instrumental in molding what we have today. You know, Great American Bash, Dusty Rhodes' idea. Starrcade, Dusty Rhodes' idea. You know,
War Games,
Dusty Rhodes. The Stampede, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, there were so many things that Dusty Rhodes did, and everything that he did, he did it better than anybody.
Yeah.
You know, when he first came to WWF at the time, Vince McMahon, I guess, was trying to show Dusty, you might be big in the South, but I'm what's happening up north, and you're going to bow to me, or I'm going to just put you in this goofy storyline, and we'll let the fans rip you apart. So the polka dots was Vince McMahon's ideal.
Yep.
His way to tell Dusty Rhodes, I'm in charge. Let me tell you, not everybody could have went out and done exactly what Dusty Rhodes did, and that was take those polka dots, and brother, he made the polka dots the most important thing going at the time.
He sure did.
Everybody wanted the polka dots, and for something that they was trying to demean him with, instead of taking an attitude and saying, you know, they're trying to give me this shit job, this shit character, he took that son of a gun and he made it. Polka dots were, I mean, everybody was wearing them.
Damn
You know,
right.
when Dusty Rhodes, they put the polka dots on him, he made it his own. Pulled, you know, the young lady, Sapphire, I believe it was, out of the ring, out of the stands, and trained her and did some stuff with her. Look, he took what Vince McMahon thought would put him in line, for better words, and what he did is he took that egg off of his face and he slashed it right back onto Vince McMahon, because
That's right.
it didn't stop Dusty Rhodes at all.
Go ahead, Johnny, by all means.
He said he turned it from chicken shit to chicken salad.
That's exactly right.
Great
You know,
analogy.
couple of things that you neglected here. Dusty did that all without the perfect body. You know, he was out there a heavy set dude.
And a speaking
Impediment, yeah. He had a speech impediment.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, he couldn't talk super prim and proper. He didn't need to. He didn't look the part. He didn't need to. He was surviving in the landscape of just steroid monsters, you know.
Yeah.
And you know what? He held it down.
And probably has one of the iconic promos of all time, the Hard Times.
Yep.
That's
Oh,
hard time.
without a doubt.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
that's
One of the best.
iconic.
One of the best
Iconic.
promos of all time. And look, I'm telling you, and probably for you guys too, when Dusty Rhodes put his hand out in front of that camera and said, my hand is reaching out and touching your hand, and your hand is touching my hand, I believed it.
I felt
Yeah.
Too.
And every 2 million people out there that was watching it, I'm getting cold chills just speaking
Just
about it
thinking
right
about
now.
it, yeah.
Me too.
But when Dusty Rhodes put his hand out to that camera, 2 million people reached back.
Yeah.
You felt it.
And
You
that's-
believed it.
Every word of it.
And then one more. He gave us 2 more wrestlers that are just adored in the business, you know. Let's start with Cody real quick, just because it's easier to get him out of the way. He went out and made himself relevant again after he was treated as a job guy, okay? So he went out and he was running the roads, tearing it up, ROH, you know, New Japan, all that. Created the only competition Vince has had in about 20 years.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to leave aforementioned competition, go back to WWE, and take over. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
he
nothing
was
else.
pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
And then, you know, Goldust running with the Goldust character, you know, Dustin Rhodes, which Dustin Rhodes was great in and of itself. Seven, maybe not as great, but
Yeah.
Goldust was immaculate. Black Rain,
No.
Goldust was great.
Yes.
The natural Dustin Rhodes
But you'd have to-
also was
you'd
a
have to-
great character because it was him. I mean, it was him.
And
You have to think that the whole Gold Dust thing was probably Vince shitting on the Rhodes again.
Trying to.
Yeah, trying
You
to
know,
shit on, and then he tried to shit on Cody too, you know, and then, but then they just overcame that, and you know, either it helped him, because it definitely
It
didn't hurt
lit
them.
a fire under their
Yeah, it
ass.
definitely didn't hurt them.
You know,
Yeah.
talent is not always in the genes. It's not always hereditary, but in that case, it has to be.
Certainly was.
It has to be that, or it's in the water they're drinking. Something over at West
Yeah.
Texas
Yeah.
is doing all right.
Dustin Rhodes and Cody Rhodes. I mean, you don't want to compare them to their father because times are different. But I'm telling you, they are definitely superstars in their own right, without a doubt. Much respect to the entire Rhodes family. And then I guess for my fourth, I would have to say Stone Cold Steve Austin, because again, here's a cat. He had all the talent in the world, and just nobody could see it until he was allowed to just to bring it out on his own. You know, he started out down there at AWA, you know, Stunning Steve. They had something going right there, and they just didn't know what to do with it. So they jump ships and comes to the, you know, WCW, NWA, if you will. Eric Bischoff doesn't really get that he has all this talent. You know, he and Brian Pillman, the Hollywood Blondes, you know, Steve Austin, Brian Pillman, that was chemistry personified.
Damn straight.
And Eric Bischoff pissed on that. And so when Steve went to ECW, he had a rage inside of him because he had talent all along. AWA, he had talent. They just didn't know how to use it correctly. NWA, WCW, he had talent. Eric Bischoff just wouldn't allow him to display it. But when Paul Heyman gave him the platform at ECW and he got to do what he wanted to do, and he became into himself Stone Cold, once he left ECW as Stone Cold and went to the WWF, the rest is history.
You know, Brian
before-
Pillman is such an iconic figure in wrestling. You forget that Austin was in that tag team with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people do forget that.
And people forget that before he was Stone Cold, he was being the ring general because
Yep.
that,
The ringmaster.
That's what
The
they-
Ringmaster is
yep,
what
the
brought him to
ringmaster.
WWF.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
and just a little side note, you know, he wears gold chain around his neck all the time. You don't see him without it since Brian was here. And because Brian Pillman gave him that chain.
Yeah.
And so they were really good friends. I mean, how can people forget? You know, I pride myself in doing my homework, and I think some of these young folks need to do this as well. Go back and look at the angle with Steve Austin, with Brian Pillman, when they came to Brian Pillman's home up
Yep.
here in Walton, Kentucky.
with the gun.
You really, and they fired that 9mm off. You really have to be comfortable because look at Mr. Lee. You know, he was doing a movie and the prop gun wasn't supposed to kill him and it killed him.
Yeah.
Yep.
You really got to have trust in the man that you're working with or woman, whatever the case may be. This being Steve Austin and Brian Pillman. That right there, to do an angle like that, it just has to tell you how much love and respect they had for each
That's
other.
right. And fun
Yeah.
fact, originally they were going to have him actually shooting at Austin, but they chose for a blackout to happen and the shots to be fired that way. It made for better television.
Certainly, because anytime, Johnny, we can just put a little bit of feeler out there and let somebody make up their own conclusion of what happened, it's always better because we all have our individual conclusions, and no one can put it in our mind better than we can put it in ourselves. And Andy, if I may, I've given them my 4 Mount Rushmore men. If I could give one more as my special mention, as you said, it would have to be for a promoter, my favorite promoter. Sean, you've known me a long time. Do you know the answer to this?
Paul Bosch.
See, he does his homework. Paul Bosch is exactly right. Is exactly right, Sean. Paul Bosch was so instrumental in some of the things that he done. He was way before his time.
Yeah.
He wrestled, but he also he was a promoter down in Houston. He done so much. He was pulling so much. Vince McMahon Sr. pulled him to WWF as a consultant because Paul Bosch was so far ahead of the entire sport, really, of professional wrestling. He was doing things that was unheard of. He is the first man to take down all the ring ropes when having a arm wrestling contest. You know, superstar Billy Graham and I believe it was Ken Patera was having an arm wrestling contest. And Paul Bosch said, take the ropes off of the ring. And they said, well, what the hell are you talking about? They're going to have a match after this. He said,
Intermission and on the back.
take the ropes off of the ring. If these people come in to have an arm wrestling contest and we've got the ropes on the
Gotta see
rings,
'em.
the fans are going to say, oh, well, this is going to break down in a match. I know, because they got the ropes on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul Bosch put it into my head. He put it into every sports fan's head across the world. Hey, this is a straight shoot, legit arm wrestling contest between these two behemoths. You know, superstar Billy Graham, huge guy. Ken Patera, 1972, Ken Patera was known as the strongest man in the world. True story.
That's right.
So to get these two guys in to do a arm wrestling contest without the ropes being on the ring, everybody that was sitting in that arena, you know what they were saying? This shit is legit,
Damn straight.
and they're getting ready to go to war right here.
That's right.
And it was because of the thought that Paul Bosch put in not only to the segment, but that he put into every fan that was watching that segment.
Same
Hey,
thing with contract signings.
yes, same deal. I mean, Paul Bosch, you don't hear about him a lot anymore, but Paul Bosch, in my opinion, he should be in every Hall of Fame that is ever put out
That's
there.
right.
There was an angle with Paul Bosch that was kind of used once in TNA back in the day, in a throwaway angle. It's where the manager kind of slaps the hand and the referee stops him, and so the babyface thinks he's won the match. But when the referee, it's like, I only got the 2, because he heard the 3 count, but that
Right.
was the manager slapping the hand at the 2.
Yeah.
And the referee goes back, and then 2. And then the babyface gets up like, yes, I'm the new whatever. And
Yeah, you know,
well,
because he could take that right. I mean, I don't care who it was. If it was a wrestler, it was a fan. He could get your attention with his ideas like no other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And real quick,
Ain't gotta raise your
you remind me of this. Rich Brody had one of the best entrances ever. When he came out with a chain,
Yes.
and he didn't just come out. He came out to the crowd, and he was there. He was whipping them all, and he made them know that was real. He was just come out there, just taking that belt and whipping the fans' asses and going around the entire arena, just daring them all to try something.
That's a shoot tough guy.
He was definitely a shoot tough guy, you know, and we lost him way too
I
young.
would not try my luck with him now.
That's
Right. It's his whole story is just it's a shame what happened there.
Hey, Aaron Rose just chimed in. He said, Scott and Austin, what's up, guys?
What up, Tiny?
Well, it's good, man.
Tiny, how's it going, my friend?
What up, dude?
Always good to hear from you. Always good to see you. We got a lot going on this Sunday, brother.
Yeah, we do. We do.
We
Sure
should.
do.
Is that I'm Austin's biggest fan?
It is my
Most
turn.
certainly
Yes,
so.
good on
Move
there.
over, John.
Screw over that
All
right,
right.
John.
All right, let's hear your Mount Rushmore
My
there,
Mount
Sean.
Rushmore.
Bad
Watch-
list.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Okay.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
That's who I was going to. That was one of mine.
You can still be one of yours.
Yeah.
No, one you sold me, unless it's Ric Flair.
Or Dusty Rhodes.
I love. Go ahead. Why do you love Randy?
What can you not love? His promos. I mean, granted, he was probably on coke 98% of them. And
Who ain't though?
well,
You know what New Jack said? You damn right. You think I'd get up there and jump off a 30-foot balcony and not be on coke?
I
That's another
believe.
one we lost too soon. New
Too
Jack.
soon. Yeah, New
Yeah.
Jack. Randy and New Jack both.
Yeah, I cried when I found out about Savage dying. I was literally, I cried.
He's a Kentucky hero.
Exactly.
is.
That's the one of the biggest reasons I love Randy is because he's wrestled here in Lexington. He brung him and his the Pablo family brung Pablo
Yeah.
family
Yeah.
brung professional wrestling to Lexington, Kentucky, like downtown,
Even though it
like a
was
a-
big deal. Like it was a big
Yeah.
deal.
And
Ran-
my dad shared a cell with him after he stole steaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Randy was, he had fun. He enjoyed life.
Yep.
Lanny was a little more laid back, but I thank goodness for Angelo Poffo because he gave us two great guys and one of the greatest guys of all time,
Yeah, Randy's a legend.
without a doubt.
Man, was it WrestleMania 3? He and Ricky?
Him and
Yep.
Steamboat. Yeah.
Man, that was immaculate to say the least.
Clinic, a
Yeah.
clinic.
What a,
And that
what a
was
great
they
match.
had, usually pay-per-view matches or big-time matches, they go around house shows and do matches. They never touched until that night. Like Savage had that legal pad with like 138 different spots, each one, numbered meticulously. You go, all right, give me a. You go to Steamboat Teaser Michelle's like, give me a 42 to 65, and Steamboat would have to, so.
But again, you're talking about two guys. I mean, that are
Legends. Those guys.
they
can't
will
be
always
touched
be
with-
talked about. Those two guys will always be
Legends.
talked about.
WrestleMania 5 doesn't get the love it deserves
It
either.
doesn't.
I had it on VHS. Growing up, I didn't have cable TV, so I didn't really get to watch a lot of, modern wrestling. Doughboy's VHS collection and DVDs, that was really all I had. So
Tojo's gone now.
Oh yeah.
I don't think we can talk about that on the air.
This is going to be a interesting one, but Lawler, Jerry the King Lawler.
Okay.
Only if he comes with $2 so he can pay Terry England for that cup of coffee.
You know what? I just got an envelope from Terry England, and he only charged me 75 cents for it.
Wow. But the reason I picked Lawler is because when he was Booker, him and Jerry Jarrett were Booker for the Memphis territory. Think of all the great matches that some are still being felt today.
the original,
Scaffold matches.
yes, that's a great one because that was also true. The original scaffold match with Jimmy Cornette
Yep.
and his boys against LOD.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
the
Midnight
original,
Express, right?
go back and look at this because it was so good. They did a second one years later. The original concession stand match
Yep.
with Wayne Ferris and his partner and Billy Dundee
Larry
and Jerry
Latham.
Lawler. Larry Latham, yes.
That's right.
And Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. Look, when you see a guy covered in mustard and ketchup, somehow for me, I was like, man, that's a fight. Now that's a fight.
Do you know the story behind that match?
It depends on who you ask.
Well, okay. I heard this from Jeff Jarrett, so take that for what it's worth. The promoter of the building in Tupelo, where they had the concession stand, bro, very OCD, wanted to keep things clean, so they did that kind of as a rib, just to mess with him.
Love that.
They're just like,
Hey,
oh, you like
that doesn't sound like Jerry Lawler at all, does it? I mean, here's a guy that goes on arguably the most popular late night show since Johnny Carson.
Yep.
He goes on David Letterman and he throws a cup of coffee on a guy that is so comedically smart. He didn't only sign a contract for himself doing a sitcom. He had them put into the contract that his alter ego will also get 2 spots on this said sitcom and be paid accordingly. That's smart. When Jerry Lawler threw that coffee on Andy Kaufman on the Letterman, one of the greatest things that ever touched wrestling, and it wasn't even in a ring.
Kaufman threw the coffee after Lawler slapped the hell out of him.
After he slapped him, right. He slapped him out of the chair, you're right.
Right.
And then he threw the
One of
coffee.
the greatest works ever because no one knew.
No,
that the-
we didn't
Everyone
know until
believed it.
2000.
Everyone
believed it.
believed it. They still,
None
a
of
lot
us
of people
knew
still believe
until
it.
after the movie came
Right.
out in 99. Even Jim Carrey didn't even know it was a work. And he was in the movie.
I love
Yeah,
Jim
something
Carrey
over the
so much.
moon.
He is
What
great,
was it?
Man on
Man
Man on the Moon.
yeah.
Yeah. Go check it out,
I
fans.
got it on DVD.
It's a great movie. It's about a comedic genius, Andy Kaufman, which is, he had a little
recently got
touch
his
with
flowers.
our sport. Go check it out. Good stuff.
Yeah, that put wrestling like over.
Big
Number
time.
3, I'm going to go Flair because what can't be said about Flair? I mean, the man's got the record for the most ever 60-minute draws. He, at the tail end of the NWA when it's real heyday, he was the traveling champion.
He was the champion when the belt meant something.
Yes.
You know, when you get a conglomerate and you kill all your competition, your championship or your titles, if you will, to me, they don't mean as much. When you get out and you travel around the world and you wrestle the greatest of the world, then that belt means even more than anything else.
Yes.
These belts, and I'm not knocking, the WWE, they do a pretty decent job up there. I don't watch it anymore, but nevertheless, these guys that are able to win their championships, these guys and girls, they're busting their tails. So their championships are important per se in this day and era, but there'll never be a championship title to hold more esteem than the original NWA title, and I don't care if it's 200 years from now.
10 pounds of gold.
The original 10 pounds of gold. It was the title when the title meant
Yeah.
the all to beat all.
And it wasn't just
Yeah,
one
that's right.
person decided. There was 9.
There was 7.
7 people. I thought it was 9. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
they
that's
sat
the
down there in
Supreme
St. Joe, Missouri, and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, you know, which
7 people. This had to decide because they couldn't. There had to be an odd number
Right, to avoid any ties.
to avoid
right?"
any ties.
And you know, Sean, you probably know this. You're pretty knowledgeable, but that is what spawned the WWWF.
Yes.
When
because they wanted to put the belt on
Bruno.
And
Yeah.
the NWA was like, he's good up here in New York, but
so you know who they wanted to keep it on?
Buddy Rogers.
The Nature Boy, the original Nature Boy.
That's
You're
right.
so right. So, you know, the 7-man panel, 6 if you will, because Vince Sr. was on that panel.
Yep.
Excuse me. So when the 6 outvoted Vince Sr., he said, you know, I'll just go start my own, of which he did. And Bruno was his first champion, carried the belt for like 7 or 8 years. Great champion.
I hope it
But
gets me.
it again became a conglomerate to where there was no, you had no competition. They didn't allow it. You know, so to me, it kind of tainted their championship a little bit.
You
Kind
know,
of sort of how when Vern Gagne started the AWA, it was
Yeah.
kind of the
Same deal,
situation.
right.
Yeah.
you know, I'm actually distantly related to Bruno Sammartino.
Yes.
I can see it. You got that look. But I don't know, though. You've been in the gym, so
Yeah.
it might have been that's what's throwing me off a little bit.
Hey,
You've already got more talent than David Sampson.
yeah, David Sammartino.
I digress.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had to go.
So who's your number 4?
Number 4. It's going to be a tough one, but I don't like him. I was not a fan, but I tip my hat where it's due. Now, I will say John Cena, he has carried this company, even through with his movies, what he's doing now. He still gets a pop. Like, just at Money in the Bank a couple of weeks ago. Nobody knew he was going to be there, and he pops out, and the place, you know, babies go in the air.
right,
roof
yeah,
comes off
really
the
though.
building.
Really.
All right,
Yeah.
and then your special mention would be?
My honorable mention, Hogan is, you know, this may be a tender subject, especially with his personal life, but this ain't about that. This is what he's done in the business. Throughout the 80s, he carried it, and I've got another special mention. Piper.
Oh, hey, look, I think we'll all agree with that.
Nobody gives that man credit for what he's done, because the success of the first WrestleMania, everybody wants to give it to Hogan and this, that, and the other.
It was Piper, baby.
If it wasn't for Piper, I believe WrestleMania was a dud.
I agree with you.
There are 3 wrestlers that were on the first ever Starrcade and the first ever
Mania.
Mania. Thank you.
His match with Adrian Adonis.
WrestleMania
That's
3.
right. Yeah.
Another fallen great that people don't speak about
Yeah,
anymore. Adrian
exactly.
Adonis.
Dark Side of the Ring last night.
Was
oh,
it?
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I got to go home and watch it later.
Adrian put Piper
Made him
made
look
Piper look like a saint.
man,
Made him look like he was the baby that day. Adrian was the
Him and
Adrian was the heel, and Piper was the. It made him
Yeah.
gave him the biggest pop ever.
At the time, wasn't that billed as Piper's last match?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because he
believe
wanted
it.
to go do a movie that's before he did They Live. And, you know, but Piper was on the first Starrcade and the first Mania. So was Greg the Hammer Valentine.
that's what I was going to say.
He
You know,
was US
Greg.
champion
Another
at the
one
first
that too.
Starrcade. And he was Intercontinental champion at the first Mania.
Oh, okay.
You know, he
And Ricky
beat
Steamboat.
he beat Ric Flair one time for the NWA United States title.
Yes.
Broke his
Yeah, he
nose
did.
in the match.
Yep.
I had him on the Diamond Exchange one time. The Hammer.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
The guy never had a regular job. He said he was born into wrestling, and that's all he's ever
Yeah.
done. You know,
He was billed as the brother of Johnny.
in actuality, you know, Johnny was his dad.
Yeah.
And I'm going out there. Anybody's listening's got any pull? We need to get Johnny Valentine into the Hall of Fame. I've always believed that. Him, Ivan Koloff, these guys need to be
Yes, they do.
in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, they do. Ivan Koloff definitely.
Hey,
Remember-
he was the one that took the belt off of Bruno. We were
Yeah,
just
okay.
talking about.
And remember, the ring announcer was like, I ain't announcing this. I ain't announcing
Right,
this.
yeah, no. I'm not being shot as the messenger, absolutely.
Right? So, Andy, now it
Yeah,
comes to the.
I'm not going to say anybody that y'all have said, and I'd like to because I'm a big fan of Ric Flair. I'm a big fan of.
There goes your list then. If you don't have at least one of these
But,
names,
like-
you don't have a list.
I'm going to say my first is going to be Mick Foley.
Okay.
Nice choice.
That's a good
Great promo right there.
Because Mick Foley, is just a total badass. He's just a regular guy. He doesn't look the part, just like Dusty Rhodes didn't look the part. He came out and just gave us all, gave 150% every time he was in that ring. His his iconic match with Taker, getting thrown off the Hell in a Cell, just put
And
right.
also being put
He
through
did
the-
that, and putting through this and
Same night.
Yeah,
The only time that Vince McMahon ever crapped himself.
yeah. And that
I love you, Mick.
And then he
when
said,
anybody talks about pro wrestling, that is the moment that they talk about. Like anybody
Off
just
the cage.
anybody
Yes.
regular is that any just normal person. Pro wrestling. Oh, Mick Foley getting thrown off the cage.
He gave his ear for pro wrestling.
Yes,
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
Actually ripped his ear
Oh,
off.
it was
Yeah.
he and Vader in Japan, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
The hangman spot.
guys,
The hangman spot, yeah.
Top
Germany.
ropes, and it wasn't like he shot that thing.
Germany is where he lost his ear.
Good
Was
enough,
it?
Good enough.
Who was my second? I was going.
Oh, sorry.
Mick Foley was my first.
If you don't put this list together, I'll put another one together.
I'm gonna say Vince McMahon. In his later years in his
We
70s.
can't be friends no more, Andy.
Well, Vince McMahon, like what he changed wrestling. Like he was a big part of changing wrestling when and he put wrestling on main event TV like CBS and NBC. Like wrestling wasn't on those networks when before Vince put them on those channels.
We started out there, but we lost a lot of steam when some of the wrestlers went on strike in the 60s with the Actors Guild.
Yeah.
And so it hurt us really bad. And really, the 1980s, the Crockett's, the Grahams in Florida, all the Von Erich's father, Fritz. These guys and Paul Bosch, when they started, and Vince McMahon Sr., these folks collectively is what made our comeback. They were able to get us on small-time TV stations,
Yeah.
which in turn allowed it to grow to what Vince was able to do later on.
Yeah. Depending on like Saturday Night Main Event, and then
Yeah.
then going on the USA Network Monday night show every Monday night. Like
Yeah.
that was incredible, and it's wrestling is a TV product now because of Vince McMahon. I think.
SmackDown took over Gunsmoke, I think The Simpsons, as the longest running on-air sitcom, so to speak. That in itself, it'll never be matched again.
Exactly.
So Vince McMahon, I tease, I'm not a big fan of his, but giving credit where credit is due, he has definitely changed the face of our sport.
And I'm gonna next one on my Mount Rushmore is gonna be I think Charlotte Flair.
Hey,
Why
I'm
is
never
Andy
gonna
still in here.
I'm never gonna argue with Charlotte. When you got someone like Charlotte that is motivated by something deep within her heart,
Yeah.
you're never going to get anyone. I mean, provided you have to have the tools, and she certainly does.
And she's got the tools. And she's beautiful.
She certainly does.
Very
She's-
talented. Comes from a wrestling family.
But she
Like,
never wanted to be a wrestler.
Yeah, never.
When she got inspired with her brother's passing,
Yes,
arguably
exactly, exactly.
Reed
That
would have
story.
been possibly better than his father. Even that's how good he was doing. And for her to take that and make it an inspiration, this is what he wanted, so he's not here to do it. So I'm going to do it for him. That right there, you will never put that fire out because she has got a fire so deep in her heart.
And she did it for her brother, and she did it for her dad, and now she's just she's a superstar. She's going to be a legend in this business. She's had that belt so many times.
She's going to be right up there with the Fabulous Moolah, in my opinion.
Exactly. And my next one is not Hulk Hogan, but Hollywood Hogan. When Hogan went heel, it changed wrestling for
Ever.
83 weeks at least.
Yeah.
Like Hogan going heel was incredible, and he came out with the black and white, and he was just a monster. Like he was just the heel. Like
He's on a new level.
the NWO just took over wrestling, and with Hogan leading it, like being the biggest baby ever to go into the biggest heel ever.
Yeah.
Like that is incredible. Like what he did.
And because that
Yeah.
2 years they held the streak.
Exactly.
the NWO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Semi-notable in that, Scott Hall was definitely the one that got the strong foundation in that,
Yeah.
Yep.
planting the seeds and whatnot.
Well, it's Scott Ho, because he I guess they helped.
Scott Hall, not Scott Ho.
That's what I meant, Scott Hall. That's what I said, didn't I?
Yeah.
No, you said
Scott Hall.
Ho.
He was thinking of me, but talking Scott Hall. You
Scott
know?
Hall. Well, I mean, Scott Hall and
Scott
and
the Ho and
Nash.
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall and Nash, and Hogan made the NWO. Like, I mean,
Scott Hall probably is one of the most underrated guys. He too, I feel like we could sit here and I could sit for hours and just put him over.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that folks don't know. When he was Big Scott Hall in the AWA, look, he was throwing ideas and storylines around like crazy there.
had a great mustache then back
The
then.
NWA, yeah.
Diamond Stud,
The NWO, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Sting's Crow.
Crow, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott Hall, look what he did with Razor Ramon. I mean,
Yeah.
my goodness. Scott Hall was so talented in so many different areas. It's just a shame that in the end, the demons got the better of him.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think he goes right down there with some of the greatest minds ever in professional wrestling.
That's right.
My honorable mention is going to be Dan Severn. The Beast, Dan Severn, because I watched a documentary on him just the other day, and how he went from pro wrestling and being a collegiate wrestler, and then going to pro wrestling, and then talking the UFC into letting him come, and they didn't want him in the UFC. They thought wrestling was bullshit, and he came in there and almost won UFC 4, won UFC 5, and I think he won UFC 6. And he just dominated with his wrestling skills. He was just a beast. Like nobody gives him credit for crossing
Did you
over.
Look at him, he doesn't look like a badass.
He had
Look,
he had the UFC belt and a wrestling belt, NWA wrestling belt at the same time.
Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong. Isn't he the only man to have the NWA championship on WWE TV?
Yes.
Yes.
He's a beast, man.
Dan
and he had a great
Severn.
mustache.
Yeah, along with Scott Hall.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
still does.
Yeah.
I done a couple of events with him, and he's so big. You would think that he'd be a little menacing to go and talk to. Nicest guy in the world.
Classy guy, because they were talking about that, how classy he was, like during even really beating up people. He was just such a classy guy. He wouldn't talk shit to him. He wouldn't, and if they were doing something dirty, he would punish them more for doing dirty shit.
Right.
He was the epitome of a professional.
Yeah,
He worked his butt off no matter what it was that he was out there doing, and he did it all the while being humble.
Yeah.
Again, I worked a couple of events with him, and I know some of these guys don't want everybody to bombard them and whatnot, but when it was safe, for lack of better words, when everything was said and done, and everybody's filtering out the back, and then I went and I spoke with him a little while, and very great guy, man. I mean, so easy to talk to. I wished I would have done more shows with him.
crossover star, just a
That's
big
right.
crossover star. I don't know much about his pro wrestling, but him being in the UFC, he just he made that, he helped make that sport.
Very enjoyable
Yeah.
to watch.
Well, we did a show with him a few years back in
Virginia.
it was over in Virginia, and Bill Eadie was there, Tito Santana, Al Snow, George South. There's a guy that people need to talk about too, is George South.
Yeah, it was great.
But the reason that I mentioned these other guys in the event that we were on, because that was the event that 8 or 9, 10-year-old, something like
wasn't
that.
even that old.
Austin Diamond, a very young man, worked Tito Santana. I'm just going to say it.
okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Tito was charging $10 for pictures and autographs and things like that. And after a couple of words with Austin Diamond, he's like, "Here, kid, just go away." So Austin Diamond got the autograph for free and stuff,
Heck
and
yeah.
Tito's like, "You know what? If he wasn't Mexican too, I'd just get away from me."
Wow.
Hey,
Arriba!
speaking of badasses, Mr. Matt Trey just chimed in. He said 4 days.
4 days, Matatrea. Look, there's very few people in the wrestling business I could probably count on one hand who knows me as well as Matatrea does. Matatrea knows me as well as anyone, and I know Matatrea better than most. And I'm telling you, in 4 days, it's going to be a hell of a fight. I don't look forward to fighting Matatrea because, again, he has been the greatest bodyguard I've ever had. Look, he'll go into a bar and kick a guy in the face. He'll go outside in the parking lot and run his head through a window. I've seen him do it. He is a tough individual, this Matatrea. So I don't look forward to fighting him. I don't, because I know what he brings to the table. But also, Matatrea, 4 days. You got Adrian Alexander. And, brother, as I said just a moment ago, you know better than most. When you got Scott Diamond at ringside, things are a little different. I was banned from ringside the last time. I've had my lawyers on this, so that's not going to be the case this time. I'm going to be at ringside. So that right there, can make the difference.
That's right. That's true.
So we're headed to the top of the hour here. We're headed for the second hour of this podcast. I'd like to mention some of the sponsors and mention some of the upcoming wrestling events that are coming up soon. This weekend, Sunday, July the 16th, New South Wrestling in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky will be having Country Boy Brewing taking over down there, and they're going to have a hell of a ring matches down there. The Nice Guy Andy podcast belt is going to be on the line against Adrian Alexander and Matt Treya, and they have so many more big events down there, big matches going on down there. So New South Wrestling, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky. What's the
101 Hilltop 605 is bell time.
what's the zip code down there, Johnny?
10342.
Oh, zip code. You need to send him a letter. Okay, and Matt's Games and Collectibles and so much more, guys, over in Eastland Shopping Center. Get over to Matt's Games. He's a friend of the podcast. He is a sponsor of the podcast, so get over there. Any retro gaming you'll need, any Legos or any pops, get over there. Matt's really cool. You get in there and talk to Matt. Matt will conversate with you and tell you everything he knows about the gaming industry, and he's been in the podcast before. Go check him out on YouTube. We had Matt on the show. I think
But Donnie Green was hosting.
Donnie Green was hosting that show. We got Joe Monroe's podcast. Joe Monroe,
Joe Monroe Show.
has been a guest on the podcast. He's a really good friend of us. He's sold some of his merchandise to help the podcast pay some bills around here. Great guy. We support Joe Monroe and his podcast. It's very entertaining. The first one's been very entertaining, and we may start some shit with Joe. You never know. Big Kahuna Hawaiian Barbecue, Liberty Road and Winchester Road, guys. It's Burger Week. Go over there. Big Kahuna has a big juicy burger over there for sale. I think it's got deep fried ham, some Big Kahuna burger. Oh my God!
If you've seen Pulp Fiction, you know the burger.
Man, go over there. Go inside.
Good
They
food.
got
right.
they got Samuel L. Jackson on the wall. It's awesome. Phenomenal Finds, ATL. Those guys resell stuff. They buy stuff and resell it down there. They got a lot of wrestling merchandise. You can get some figures. You can get some T-shirts, anything retro. These guys are reselling it over there.
And sometimes they'll auction it off too.
They're auctioning stuff off. Phenomenal Finds. Check them out on Facebook. Tell them Nice Guy Andy Podcast sent you. EWA Wrestling. EWA Wrestling is in Frankfort, Kentucky.
Thornhill Education Center.
Thornhill Education Center. Those guys are putting on some great wrestling down there. They just crowned their heavyweight champion. Marty Clay is the he's the EWA
Elite Wrestling Alliance champion.
champion,
right.
and he's a champion over at New South Wrestling.
He
too.
is. He is the X Division championship in New South. Marty Clay, great young upstart, been around just a couple of years, and he's taking the wrestling scene by storm. He's collecting gold. A great.
45 belts.
He's got 5 belts right now. I think it's crazy.
He's a great young talent.
And we're going to shout out Bo's Tractor Works, CBD salve and cream. Me and Johnny has some over here.
It works for your pre-workout.
Johnny's been using it for other things that we're not going to mention.
We don't talk about that.
But it seems to be helping it grow. I don't know. But CBD oil, Bo's Tractors Works. Guys, get over there if you got a pain and an ache and pain. I know wrestlers have all kinds of aches and pains. Get you some of the Bo's Tractors Works, and it helps with the aches and pains, man.
It sure does.
And Appalachian Mountain Wrestling, our guy down there, Kyle Maggard. Man, awesome. I can't tell you how good a friend Kyle Maggard is to the Nice Guy Andy podcast.
And he's got a pay-per-view coming up, King of Mountains.
King of the Mountains, pay-per-view. Tell them about it, Johnny.
Well, you're going to be seeing it on pay-per-view, I can tell you that much. King of the Mountains is going to have Big Rig Jake Break back, and he's going to be doing his open body slam challenge again. You're going to see Stan Sierra there. You're going to see Marty Clay there. You're going to see all your favorites, including Kyle Maggard versus Marty Clay.
AJ Kazanza, right?
Yeah.
NWA tag champion.
That's right.
AJ Kazanza is going to be taking on Adrian Alexander, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're going to see Kyle Maggard versus Marty Clay.
And this July the 25th is a Tuesday night. Free comedy show, Lexington Out Loud, sponsored by Livewire Entertainment and the Nice Guy Andy podcast over at Pivot Brewery. Free show, guys. Come on out to Pivot Brewery, July the 25th. We're going to be having a show over there, a comedy show. Jay Ritchie's helping us put this on. Jay Ritchie's the main sponsor, and host. Local comedian James Colby is going to be hosting the show. So, guys, we had a great turnout last time. We hope to put twice as many people in the seats this time. It's a free show. All you got to do is come, maybe tip the comedians, tip your waiters and waitresses, and, Johnny's going to be up there dancing, so y'all got to come.
Oh, watch out.
Hold up. Donnie Green, I'm sorry that I didn't send the invite. I should have invited you earlier. Brother, if you're still
Johnny,
here, come on over, because Scott Diamond and Austin Diamond are in the house.
He said no.
That's a lie.
Donnie Green, is he giving us a shout out?
Yeah, he said.
Hey, look, here's another great guy. Donnie Green is another guy. He's a legend in these parts. He's done it all. I've worked many events with him. An upstanding guy. Donnie, if you're close and you're watching it, come on through, brother. Come on through,
brother.
Kyle Maggard's watching us he's on a cruise boat right now in the Atlantic Ocean. So,
hey, Kyle.
Yeah, hey, Kyle.
That's awesome, Kyle.
I enjoyed our conversation the other evening, Kyle, and I wanted to let you know, that turncoat, that no good Misery. I know when you and I went out and you were the Kentucky champion over there in New South. Misery cheated and retained his title, or excuse me, he took the title away from you. But let me reassure you, Kyle, I dedicated it to you. My man, Troy, we went out and we beat Misery and we brought that title back. Your title, it is now our title. So we did that in remembrance of you, Kyle. So I want to let you know that your Kentucky title is now safe with the new Diamond Cartel.
Hey, Kyle, you got to let me know if you found that deck that I was talking about, that topless deck on that cruise.
Yeah.
Let's
Kyle Maggard, you're going to see him on what's that show, Cruise Ship Killers or something.
Hey, I was on the cruise back in the day of the Carnival Cruise, and I was just wandering around, and I wandered around on the topless deck, and I was like, that's where you could find me the rest of the cruise.
Hey,
there was a buffet and boobs. Like, where else would you go?
I'm there, Andy.
Yeah,
I'm there. And if I know Kyle Maggard, and I do, he's there.
No, he said he was going to behave.
Yeah, behave, Kyle.
Kyle's never behaved a day in his life.
Kyle said this. He said Kyle Maggard's the longest running Kentucky champion in the state's history.
That's right.
That's exactly right. Now Troy Parker is going to break that record, and again, we're giving all the homage we can to you, Kyle, because you were a great champion. And, I felt a little slighted by Misery and him cheating you out of that title. So Troy Parker and I, we took it to him, and we brought that title home.
Yeah.
That's right.
Completely moving on from Kyle Maggard, I've gotten a lot of compliments on my boots. People, for some reason, they just adore my well-polished white boots.
Get him, Kyle.
All right.
I appreciate that, Johnny. You know how much I paid for those bad boys?
I bet.
Not a dime.
That's right.
The gift.
Still.
Something like that.
Awesome.
That's because this man right here is the
Those
apex
were expensive
of
shoes.
excellence.
There it is.
There's my Italian leather shoes that Bobby
might-
Blade stole.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
get you to record that because it's
But
kind of.
those were expensive shoes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you to
I love it. I
re-record
love
that one,
it.
brother.
That I should get that for my ringtone. Yeah. Just when Bobby calls, personal
Yeah.
ringtone
So let's
for
get
Bobby.
back. Let's get back to New South Wrestling and the new Diamond Cartel, which was the Diamond
Well, when we first came
Exchange.
in, we were trying to be nice and do things the right way, and so we didn't want to come off thuggish, and so we were known as the Diamond Enterprises because my business is Diamond Enterprises, and so we try to be businesslike and we try to be nice and try to come in and make it a business atmosphere, and do the Diamond Enterprises. But with Mr. Presley, disrespecting us all the time, Andy.
Yeah.
I got together with these young warriors,
I saw it, brother.
Nurse Micah, she didn't deserve that disrespect. Double A, Adrian Alexander, he doesn't deserve that disrespect.
Nice guy.
And Troy Parker, the Black Knight, he is the new enforcer. He does not deserve that disrespect. And of course, three-time Hall of Famer Scott Diamond, I don't deserve that respect. So we threw respect out the window. We threw being nice out the window. We threw Diamond Enterprises back where it belonged, and that was behind my desk. And we are now the new Diamond Cartel. And anybody that's been around for a while, they know the Diamond Cartel is still a fashion to be reckoned with. We broke all the rules for 10, 15 years. We did what we want when we wanted, and we held more gold than Fort Knox. And so if you have to go back and be a little nasty, Andy, that's what we had to do,
Oh, yeah.
We had to go
I've
back,
seen that.
and we just have to show Mr. Presley and all these guys over here at New South and everywhere else, EWA and all these places, that if you don't want to give us the respect that we demand, we'll just take it.
Anthony was like at the last show, man, was just kind of like, I just felt like I was in the back and I was like, he is out of control with this, being like, acting like he's such a nice guy, but like pitting you guys, like making sure that you didn't come to the, like one of his biggest stars in the whole,
All right.
the whole promotion, Scott Diamond, like keeping you away from the ring. Like, how's he going to sell tickets saying, promoting that Scott Diamond is banned from the ring?
Exactly.
Like, why would you do that? Why would you say, "Oh, Scott
Disrespectful.
Diamond is banned from the ring"? Like, you're supposed to say, "Hey, Scott Diamond's going to be there near the ring if you want to sell tickets."
This man right here,
Anthony
gave
Presley.
everything to New
Yes.
South. And what did New South do? They banned him from the ring like he was doing something bad.
How are you going to sell tickets that way when you got one of the biggest stars,
exactly right,
Adrian
Andy.
Alexander with our title, and his manager Scott Diamond, like banning him from the ring, and people are like, "Well, Scott's not going to be near the ring, so I don't want to come buy a
Because
ticket."
now Matt Treya
Yeah.
has his ticket to it.
Fear
After they
and
restart.
envy quickly turn to resentment, boys.
That's exactly right. And I
I think he's
that's
getting a
what's-
little power trippy. This
I think
Mr.
that's right.
Mr. Scott
I
Diamond.
do.
I mean,
I do,
Mr.
Andy.
Scott Storm.
I think that you're right, Andy, and I definitely agree with Austin and Johnny Lee here. It's blatant. And so it's gotten to the point that I don't care about posters. I've been on thousands of posters.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of months, I see when I look on posters, there's no mention of Scott Diamond unless you're banning him from ringside, unless you're chastising the new Diamond Cartel. Do you see Scott Diamond on the marquee? No, you don't. Do you?
And
see
you should,
Scott-
because you're one of the biggest stars. You're
Damn
three-time Hall of Famer.
Somebody's got to carry it on their back. Thank you
right.
very much, Mr. Diamond.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. I'm over here and I'm carrying New South on my back. We got some great stars that are being disrespected. Even Matty Ice, he came in and he said, "Look, I don't want to be known as Matt Vine anymore." And what do?
Yeah.
They continue to call him Matt Vines instead of his name, of what he wants to be called,
That's
Matty
right.
Ice.
Booker
You know,
T gave him
And
that.
then they had that Ring General's belt over there. Like, I thought Nice Guy Andy podcast belt was the belt of podcast over there at New South Wrestling.
So everybody, that is the powers that be over there, again, as Austin said, they fear a little bit of what we bring to the table. And so they're disrespecting us. And I'm here to tell you, Mr. Presley, that's all going to stop, and it's going to stop real soon. I don't care if I'm not on the posters. You're putting all these other cats that are managing and stuff, and this does not include Bobby Blade. Bobby Blade is right there in the same class with Scott Diamond. He is one of the greatest of all time.
If New South Wrestling just made a poster with Bobby Blade and Scott Diamond on the poster, there would be no problem selling tickets.
It would sell out.
Proven. 10 years ago, it happened. Yes. What happened? The seats were packed.
Put a little logo in the corner down the bottom, says Nice Guy Andy Podcast, and there you go. Sold the whole show out.
It's sold out. In that very building. Very building. And I believe Sean was there. He was 12 or 13 years old, but I believe he was there. The very first Scott Diamond birthday bash, it happened in that building there, 101 Hilltop. And let me tell you, that says on the fire code, you're only allowed 250 people. I had over 350, almost 400 people in that building. True story.
People looking through the windows.
And they were standing.
Shoot.
They were standing, and that's a straight shoot. They were standing throughout the building. Front door was open so people could hear it. I'm telling you, Scott Diamond's on the marquee, 101 Hilltop. I don't care where it is. When Scott Diamond's on the marquee, we sell out the place.
And then,
the divorce rate.
But you're not just Scott Diamond.
That's right.
You're not just Scott Diamond. You're bringing the Diamond Cartel with you, and all that gold y'all have. All that gold.
People coming from Washington, people coming from California. I've got women in New York hitting me up. People in Puerto Rico sending pictures. Diamond Cartel, diamonds are forever.
South Wales.
Everywhere. People know the Diamond Cartel. But you know what? Tony Presley and his power trip, let's just put it where it's at. He won't get in the ring and put his money where his mouth is. Therefore, anything he has to say is irrelevant.
He does kind of hide behind. He had a great career. Don't let me get that misinterpreted. Scott Storm, a.k.a. Mr. Presley, had a great career. He's a little banged up now. I'm a little older. I'm a little banged up now. But he seems to want to just get in my face when everything is kosher for him.
Might have the block party.
If he were to come out of retirement, I would consider coming out of retirement, and maybe we could have a match.
Oh, wow.
But if he wants to keep jumping up, though, in the face of Scott Diamond and the new cartel, let me tell you, Adrian Alexander might get him.
Yeah.
Troy Parker might get him. Nurse Micah might get him.
Yeah. That Troy Parker is like...
He is a bad dude.
He just looks like he's just mean. Like, he just looks like he could just... he's intimidating. He's like this beast. I
was saying hi to him at one show, and
he deserves that gold that he has. He deserves it.
Let me tell you, I used to always tell him, Scott Diamond is to wrestling what Albert Anastasia was to Murder Inc. The Diamond Cartel was to wrestling what Murder Inc. was to the mob. I was the Albert Anastasia, and I still am a professional wrestling. And when you're talking about these kind of guys, Troy Parker, he definitely is the crazy Joe Gallo of professional wrestling, because here's a cat that will do anything to win, and he don't care if it's pulling your eyeball out, pulling your toe out of socket. Troy Parker is all business when he steps into the ring, and it shows. New South, what'd he do? Dustin Jackson got so scared one day he dropped his championship title in the ring, and what happened? Troy Parker picked it up and he said, hey, challenge me for it if you want it. He wouldn't do it.
He was so scared that Scott Storm went out and bought him a new belt.
I know,
That's exactly right. Because he didn't want Dustin Jackson
to get hurt.
To get hurt by Troy Parker.
That's his star. Dustin Jackson's his star.
Was the real belt. And what did Scott Storm do? He said, you know what? I don't want my champion to get hurt, so I'm just going to make him a belt and give it to him.
He saved Dustin Jackson's butt because Troy Parker, you're exactly right, Sean.
What would you do if somebody took your belt? You go get it,
I'd punch him right in the mouth.
Go get it.
Hey.
You know what? On Tony Presley's part, that was self-preservation. You notice he didn't want Dustin Jackson to go in there, but Tony's the face that runs the place. If Tony was a real man, he'd have walked up to Troy Parker and he'd have got it himself.
That's true.
That's exactly right. But, again, Scott Storm is retired, and he certainly does not want to step up against Troy Parker.
That brings me to a point. You had a title taken from y'all and you and J.R. Rock went and y'all got it. Y'all handled business, got
There
back.
you go.
That's exactly right. You know, Cody Matthews, you bring up a great thing. Cody Matthews, a few years back, he stole a title from J.R. Rock. You know, look, when a guy's in there fighting in the ring and his title's over at the table, he's not always thinking about, you know, his title at the table because he's figuring it's going to be there after he gets done beating somebody up. And that's exactly what happened. J.R. Rock was in the ring beating somebody up. They had the championship on the table. Cody Matthews snagged it and ran. And what happened? J.R. Rock, Scott Diamond, we showed up at Cody's house. He come out one morning to go to the gym, and pow! We put him straight through the windshield of his own vehicle,
Wow.
and we took our belt back. So to answer your question, Andy, when
still
someone
complaining
steals
about
something
that.
from us, that's exactly what
Go
we do.
get it.
Go and
Yeah.
handle
We
business.
go to their house and we wait on them. Hell, sometimes we kick the door in and go on in. But nevertheless, we go and we take back what belongs to us
Exactly.
right.
And then you went in there and y'all took the Kentucky Championship
from
because-
misery.
Yeah, from misery, because he didn't deserve it anyway. Him doing what he did to one of our favorite wrestlers, Kyle Maggart. Like you shouldn't
He hit
do
Kyle
that.
Maggart in the face.
Yeah.
He cheated.
He cheated.
Blatantly.
Cheated him.
The referee
I think
happened
he
to
had
just-
trunks. I think he pulled his trunks like really good.
Referee Dave Harmon, I'm telling you, he's in Scott Storm's back pocket.
He certainly is. Dave Harmon, you know, when he came in, I thought he was a great ref. But now I see every time that the Diamond Cartel is out there, you
He's
know,
the referee.
he's slighting us.
He's crooked.
He's crooked.
He's a
I
Crooked.
said that from the get.
Conspiracy theory here.
Yeah, he's
I
in
said
Mr.
from the
Presley's
conspiracy
pocket,
is the truth.
and Mr. Presley is telling. Do you notice when we have these big championship chances, these opportunities, he wants to throw Dave Harmon in there because Dave Harmon does not call it right down the line when it comes to the
That's
new
right.
cartel.
No, he
But
doesn't.
he does not pay attention either because he'll turn a blind eye to what
There
was
was,
happening down Cartel.
there was one
Then
match
that's
I
just
saw
Cartel.
there. I saw money hanging out of his pocket, so I don't know.
I believe it, Sean. I believe it, and it was
Yeah,
put
probably
there.
not much. He just seems like a cheap guy.
It was
anyway.
put there by
That's
Mr. Presley. You can assure yourself.
He was definitely
Oh, yeah.
paid off.
Totally.
Yeah, that Dave Harmon acts like seems like a kind of guy who would do anything for $20.
I'll tell you what. I know I could put Nurse Micah in there.
bring me a drink.
And she can knock his teeth out. I'm
Oh,
going
she's
on
so
record
tough.
right now. Nurse Micah could beat Dave Harmon.
She is.
I guarantee.
She is definitely the upstart champion, women's champion. She definitely is running that division.
Damn
Like
straight.
she deserves every bit of that championship belt.
Are you familiar with Jason Kincaid, one of the greatest wrestlers to come in this area?
No.
Jason Kincaid, anyone who's been around for a long period of time, they'll tell you Jason Kincaid was and still is one of the greatest wrestlers on the indie circuit. And last week, Nurse Micah held her own with Jason Kincaid.
Okay.
And that right there, brother, that speaks volumes because Jason Kincaid, again, he has been one of the best for the last 20 years. And she held her own
She's
the other
so
day.
tough. I'd like to have a match with her, but I know I'm not going to win. But I would
We're
just
still talking
enjoy
about
it.
wrestling?
I would just enjoy that match.
Andy,
You know-
talk about wrestling. Sounds like you're.
She's a beautiful woman.
She's
She's
a
a
beautiful
beautiful
woman, but let me tell
Beautiful,
you,
tough woman. Like I'd like to be beat up by her.
she's another one of them women that she can look good, she can take you home, cook for you, but you get out of line, she can take you outside and beat the tar out of you too.
Oh yeah,
True.
sounds
I've
kinky
seen
to
it.
me.
Let me go out here too also and tell you, I put so much faith and belief in Nurse Micah. She is the second woman ever to be a part of the Diamond Cartel, and next to
That is true,
the
isn't it?
matriarch of the Diamond Cartel, one Amazing Maria.
That is true. I didn't really even think about that.
Recently, we saw Amazing Maria at New South scoping out the new.
Yes, she's a very smart, talented young lady, and she was there. And let's don't write out that if the new cartel is happening, that I'm not going to say she is. I'm not going to say she ain't. But Amazing Maria will not be far.
Once you're in, you're always in, huh?
Once you're in, you bleed in and you bleed out.
Exactly. And
Family fights, man. Sometimes something happens, something comes up, but the
That's
truth of the
right.
matter is always the same. Family is family. It's
Scott
always
said,
there.
That's exactly right. And Maria
Like I
James,
said.
she is family.
Scott said just one call, and he could have it just like that.
Just like that. Again, she is the matriarch. She is one of the toughest broads, if not the toughest broads to ever come down the pike. And she proves it every time you turn on the television. Her and her beautiful daughter, my niece, Hollywood. They're on WOW Wrestling. You see them every week out there, and they are proving themselves inside and out.
That's right.
Get them, Big Rig. Honk, honk.
That's right. And Haley J just keeps on impressing me no matter what I see her, because she's amazing inside the ring, just like her mom.
I am so proud of this young lady. You know, second generation wrestler. It's not easy to fill shoes such as Amazing Maria, her mother's, and she's going out there, and just like I said about Austin Diamond, she is not living off her mother's reputation. She is out there making her bones on her own.
Yes.
She's making her own way in the path. Excuse me. And let me tell you, there's very few opportunities that she misses. She's still the women's champion at OVW. She's collecting gold everywhere she goes. I mean, this young lady is on fire, and I'm telling you, you're going to be looking at her carry gold for the next 20 years.
Yeah, she's amazing. Hollywood is a very amazing wrestler, too.
That's right.
You know, I'd like to think that she picked some of that up from her mother, and I would like to also think that she picked that up, growing up in my house with Austin and my other two children. Because any knowledge that we would put out there, those kids was always grabbing it, and they were soaking it in. And it shows. Again, look what she's doing now. Look what Austin Diamond's doing now. They absorbed all of that energy that they were born into, and now they're using it to their advantage. As Roddy once said, and you brought Piper up, just when everybody thinks they has the answer, I changed the question.
That's right.
And that's what we're doing with Austin Diamond and Hollywood Haley J.
That's right. And Austin, someone fan, she had a question for both of y'all. She said, what's y'all's favorite thing about wrestling?
Let's see. What was the name of that lovely individual, Johnny?
It is Letitia.
LaRasia, close enough.
Yep, LaRasia.
Hi, LaRasia. How you doing, love?
LaRasia Moffitt.
So she wants to know what's the favorite thing about wrestling.
About both of your favorite things.
You want to start us off?
You know, I think
That was my phone.
my favorite thing about professional wrestling nowadays that I get to share with my son. When my dad was here, we got to share that as well, and that was very special to me. I love the late nights. I love the hours on the road. Not much anymore. I love this sport that I have sweat and bled in for many, many years. But my favorite thing about professional wrestling now is the opportunities when I get to, just like we did a few weeks ago in Tennessee, I got to work with my son. And anytime that I can be at ringside with my son, either tagging or managing him, that's the greatest thing that I've got now as far as the sport of professional wrestling, to be able to share this love and this gift with my son.
I can tell. What's your
You
favorite
know,
thing?
I gotta say, my favorite part about wrestling really has nothing to do with wrestling. We sit and we spend thousands of miles, thousands of hours on the road, and we're alone together. We take our time and we leave our mother, our father, our brother, our sister, our girlfriend, our wife. We leave our family, we leave our friends. We call into work, we tell them, I can't make it, I'm sorry, I'll catch the next birthday, the next anniversary, the next Christmas, the next Thanksgiving. Instead of getting those nice dinners, we're eating at truck stops, eating calzones that have been sitting there for 3 days. We're eating pizza that's cold in different colors. We're eating literal garbage, running roads. And, like I said, we're alone together. That's a bond that's like nothing else. There's nothing that can compare to that because, again, it really has nothing to do with wrestling. But only somebody else that's in that predicament can understand and they can relate. So, again, struggling together brings you together.
That,
So that's 100% where I've got to put my money, man.
that's how I feel. Because if you're going to be inside the wrestling business, you got to make sacrifices.
That's
You
an
know what I'm saying?
understatement, man.
Yeah, Johnny, it's more special to me now because I miss so many Thanksgivings. I miss so many Christmas, I would be there Christmas morning with the kids, but by noon I was gone on the road again. I spent so many Thanksgivings on the road. I missed so many birthdays, plays at school, awards at school, and it chokes me up a little bit. But I just, as I got older, I felt really bad that I let my children down because I wasn't there all the time when they were, having these birthdays and all these things. And so now that we're still on the road a lot, but to have him as my running partner now, that makes everything worth it. Makes everything worth it.
That's what I'm talking about.
How many people can say they got called to the office in school in the second grade because their homework wasn't done because they were at Scarefest because their dad was hosting Scarefest for the third year in a row. Partying with the Misfits, Tyler Maine, whatever, casual second grader activities.
Christian Becker Ware says, truck stop food is so awesome. Laugh out loud.
It can be.
That's a stretch.
It's a hit and a miss. It's a hit and a miss.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm throwing up, sometimes it hits the door and sometimes I miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
There's nothing like, a hot dog that's been on a roller at a gas station for 3 days, and you pull in at 3:30 in the morning and you say, I'm going to take a chance.
Yeah, it don't look that bad.
It's
I bet
hot
there's a
dog roulette.
little flavor left in that.
Speaking
Hot
of
dog
which,
jerky?
We still have that pizza in the fridge back there.
I'll take another bite out of it. I don't care.
That pizza's been in there, 8 months now?
I was going to say, it's only 8 months old,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, that was our first special Saturday show, too. And
It
so
was.
Morty come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A1.
pay-per-view.
This is going to be better than that, I think.
This, I'm telling you, August the 12th, again, I've said this many times. I've had people on the Diamond Exchange like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We're talking about Greg the Hammer Valentine. I mean, the Boogie Woogie Man himself, Handsome Jimmy Valiant.
Love that guy.
I have had Hall of Famers and guys that, again, are on Mount Rushmore, wrestling's Mount Rushmore, many of these guys. And so when we do this Diamond Exchange on August the 12th, I guarantee you fans are going to want to tune in because it's going to be hot and it's going to be big, Johnny.
Yeah,
it's going to be big.
It's gonna be
I'm
huge.
guaranteeing it's going to be one of the biggest things to ever hit the Nice Guy Andy podcast studio. And that night, it will not be called Nice because we're not nice. That night is going to be the Diamond Exchange with Scott Diamond, Austin Diamond, and our special guest, along with our main man and our honorary cartel member, Johnny Lee.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Andy, you and Sean, I hope you guys come. I want you to meet our guest. And, there'll be so many people downstairs, we'll need somebody to park cars.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I parked cars at UPS for a long time. Yeah. Plus, I got the key to the place, so I have to be here.
So, yeah, you got to be here. You got to,
And plus, that envelope that you always seem to slip me. I was
This
going
guy,
to
you don't
say,
need to be here.
if you don't make it, you won't get your
I
envelope.
know, I got to
you know?
have that envelope,
That's true, guy. Here's the envelope, brother.
Hey, you want to talk about New South's lineup a little bit, like this weekend, the 16th coming up?
We got Flexa coming back in from Alexa.
She's going to be taking on the upstart champion, Ari
Alexander.
Alexander. I mean,
Hell,
yeah.
Ari Alexander.
Ari.
So-
Ari.
She goes by Gary. She already corrected.
We like
They've met
Can't win
before
them
in
all.
the squared circle, and I went out and I tried to recruit Alexis Littlefoot myself for the cartel. Now she's been ducking and dodging. She's not answering phone calls, so I'm going to get to the bottom of that
I
come
saw
Sunday.
What happened too, because she attacked Nurse Mike.
Oh, we had her-
Yes.
We had her on early because when she first started, I was like, I got to get this woman on my show because she's going to be a big star, and then she's going to be telling us no at some point. So we had her on. We actually got her on. We can't get her back on the show. She's such a big star. She's up at Derby City.
And she's a model
herself.
now with model agency.
Yeah, so she's not. Yeah,
She's a young lady, definitely doing great things. But we seriously have to have a sit down. We have to have a talk. Her getting the blind tag when Nurse Micah had it covered. Her jumping in and wanting to roll around the ring with Nurse Micah after the match. That is not the way that the Diamond Cartel does business. If we have a problem with each other, we take care of that behind the curtains. We take care of that in my office and not out at the ring. So I'm going to get to the bottom of that. You know, I've tried to get to the bottom of it already, but she's not returning my calls. But she will be in town this Sunday. So Miss Littlefoot, we've got to get into my office and we need to have a talk. I need to know what's going on in her head.
So you think she's taking that title this weekend? Maybe.
You know what? She has the capability of doing so.
Yep.
You know, I want to quote Ric Flair: anyone can be beaten on any given day. And so, you know, if Nurse Micah, I don't think she's going to be there this weekend. So I think I can get a chance to talk to Alexis Littlefoot. But if Alexis goes out there with the right frame of mind, she has the capability of beating Ari Alexander.
Yeah, Ari needs to watch out because, I mean, you know.
Now, and that's not taking anything away from Ari. She's second generation.
Exactly.
You know, her father, Vlad's done some good things. And she is a good wrestler.
Yeah.
You got to watch out for that German suplex.
You know,
yes.
Alexis is she's headed straight to the top. She's hungry. She gives 120% every time I see her in the ring. The first time I saw her in the ring to the times I see her now, she's improved so much to be in this industry the little time that she's been here.
She's definitely making a name for herself, and it's not easy to do in the sport of professional wrestling. You know, it's a respectful business, but it's a cutthroat business as well. And you always have to be on your toes, and you always have to be scrapping and fighting.
So what do you think about the Berto with Hippo versus Gaston LaRue match that's going to be this weekend?
I'm going to give it to you by the book right here. Gaston LaRue,
Love it.
hands down.
Me too.
Hands down. You know, I had a petition. I had over 2,000 signatures trying to ban the Hippo from ringside. And what's Mr. Presley do? He goes out and gets this Hippo a manager's license so that he could be at ringside.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. I knew it.
But now, what about this Berto character? He's constantly cheating, and that's something that you never see Scott Diamond or the New Diamond Cartel or the old cartel ever do. We never cheat. We win on our own merits.
And the hippo is like a foreign object too. And
Yes.
he allowed it.
He allows, you know, because they got baby Hippo. He hides him inside of those dungarees or whatever the heck he's wearing. I don't know what he's wearing because I wouldn't wear that.
That Hippo has got to be possessed by a demon or something.
You know, I don't know why Mr. Presley's allowing him to cheat and get away with this all the time. You know, he truly...
You don't think Berto's his illegitimate child, do you?
He may be. He may be.
Or Hippo might be.
Because
You know...
he takes up for him awfully lot.
He
Doesn't
used to drink
share
back in
cheat.
the day.
He certainly does. He allows him to get away with it, you know, and he went out and again, he got the
There's
Hippo
quite
licensed.
a bit. There's quite a bit of weight difference between Berto
They are the
and
harder
Gaston.
they fall.
You think Gaston's going to be able to put that beautiful?
BDT on
No, he does a great what is the suplex?
I think
Gaston has a beautiful suplex.
He also got a great finish.
here I think is his biggest asset. Gaston is so smart. This kid is so
He
smart.
is intelligent, very.
He's another one. He does his homework, and I appreciate that because guys that do their homework, they're successful. And Gaston LaRue has been successful. You know, he filled up the first book. He's on the second book of knowledge now.
He's
Volume two.
He
graduated to the second book now.
He didn't get there by not doing his homework, and I think he's done his homework. You know, Berto he's
That
so
second-
unorthodox.
That second edition of the Wrestling Book of Knowledge is a beautiful book. You can tell that in his family, he's got several books that are in his family. The first one looks wore out. Everybody's carried that book around. Everybody's looked through that mouth. But he's graduated to the second book, and the second book looks like it's never been touched by anybody. So he's definitely took his wrestling to another level that that nobody else has been in, because you can tell that book looks brand new and that's ancient. It's
And it was
old.
sent to him by Lash LaRue.
It's so
That's
old
exactly
that book
right.
is.
Original last one, not the WC.
And so I'm going on record right here, and I'm saying that he is going to run circles around that Hippo Berto goofball.
Yeah. So you think Gaston wins this one?
He wins this one because I mean, how do you prepare for a guy who's so unorthodox? You just really can't.
Yeah.
And so I think Gaston LaRue, he thinks so well on his feet. He's so smart, this young man. when he gets there, he's going to have a game plan, and Berto is not going to be able to stick with it.
He's just going to have to use his wrestling knowledge against the unorthodox style of Berto and
Mr. Berto likes
that
to
little
bring
cheater, that little
wrestling.
cheater hippo,
Yeah,
that little cheater hippo.
You know,
What do you think, Austin?
I've heard many a men called a cheater. I've known many a men to be called unorthodox. I've known many a men to have allegedly used a foreign object to win by any means necessary at one time or another. So I got to go against Pops on this one, man. I think Berto's got this one in the bag. By any means necessary. He's got that man in his corner, the lovely Mr. Hippo. I've shaken his hand. I've had a conversation with him. I think he's got it in the bag. Simply put,
So you think Berto's winning?
I think Berto's got it.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
let's just put it out there then. Austin, we were out on the roads this morning, and as we do most mornings, he bought us some steak and eggs. So great. Hey, it's nothing like having a filet mignon first thing in the morning.
Exactly.
That's right.
And so,
Breakfast of Champions, baby.
so this morning it was on Austin. I'm going on record right here and saying if Berto wins and Gaston LaRue, if he leaves, Gaston LaRue, if he doesn't win, the steak and eggs is on me the next morning.
Johnny, write it down.
I will
Now,
baby.
Donnie.
So the next match we have up is Carson Drake with
Carson Drake, you don't need to name the end.
his $1,000 challenge versus Dalton McKenzie.
And just think about this: both of them
Dalton
are
McKenzie.
Audacity members. So it's an approaching of the Audacity.
As Austin said earlier, Johnny, they are both a part of Audacity. But here's the things: brothers are brothers, family is family, and those guys are brothers and their families. But sometimes in family, you need a little tough love, and brothers do fight.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on right here. And, I have to give this one to Carson Drake.
Yeah.
He studied with me for his first year in the business. He has picked up knowledge like a madman.
Yeah.
He is one of the greatest new cats on the scene right now.
He's a big guy, but Dalton is huge, and he has that spear that's incredible. But like you said, I think Carson is going to get him with the knowledge that he's
Carson
got.
is smart.
That's exactly right. 'cause
Austin, what do you think?
The Golden State God.
Well, you already
Carson
told us that.
Bartholomew Drake.
That's
Thank
exactly right. Because again, I see what we got going on here. It's the same thing Ric Flair did when he took on Big Van Vader. The same thing that he did when he took on Nikita Koloff. I mean, these guys were much bigger than Flair, and Flair was not a small guy, at 242. But the thing is, when he gets in there and Carson Drake is using that speed and agility, man, he's going to be sucking wind. And once he starts sucking wind, just like Rick and Vader, just like Rick and Nikita,
He's a master of head games too. That Carson Drake
he certainly is. And so when his brother is out there and he's gasping for air, Carson's going to take advantage of that,
Yeah.
and then he's going to roll him up.
And
1,
he knows
2, 3.
he probably knows Dalton every one of Dalton's weaknesses.
He certainly has,
And
because
Dalton's in the gym paying way too much attention to himself, and Carson's sitting over there watching Dalton. Every little weakness that Dalton has, he already knows about it.
Carson is the smartest man.
That's exactly right. And again, Carson is going to wait. He's going to wait for his time. He's going to run around that ring. He's going to get, Dalton all winded and gas. And when he's sucking air, boom, Carson Drake
It's
rolls
over.
in, rolls
1, 2,
him
3.
up. 1, 2, 3. It's over.
Because Dalton McKenzie may be jacked, but Carson's got the brain.
Muscles don't win, brains do. Brains to be brawn anytime.
That's right. What do you think about Zodiac versus Dylan Boston?
Anytime you talk about the Zodiac, you have to give him the edge. Here's a fella that not only personifies knowledge in the ring, this guy, again, he too is very smart, very knowledgeable. He's got more knowledge in his little finger than a lot of guys have in their entire body. So this cat, he too, the Zodiac, can think really good on his feet. I've known him 15, 20 years.
And when you think about Kentucky wrestling, you one of the main persons that comes up is Zodiac.
Has to. When you think of Kentucky wrestling, you think of people like Victor Bruiser, Scott Diamond, Zodiac, Amazing Maria. There's a lot of great names in the state of Kentucky, and Zodiac is definitely in that list without a shadow of a doubt. So anytime that he's going in, and you'll know, we beat him for the Nice Guy Andy Podcast Championship.
Yes.
It was not an easy task.
And Zodiac beat 9 people for that belt the first time he took it away. And he's beat 26 other people, and then then Adrian had his number.
Adrian was smarter than him. He knew.
You never know
how
what's
that
going on in his mind. He wears that mask, and you can't look at his eyes. You don't know what's going on. You know, I've stepped across the ring from many a man, and when you look into their eyes, you can see what they've got. If they've got fight left in them, if they don't have fight left in them. The Zodiac, you just don't know. He hides all of that emotion and everything behind that mask, and at any given time, he could beat anybody in the sport.
Master of Zen, too. A master of Zen.
Shoots fire from his hand.
He is the master on so many levels. He certainly is.
Who's this guy here?
Dylan Bostic.
I don't know much about him. Do y'all know anything about him?
I know some about it.
He's from Derby City.
Yep, Derby City.
Oh, he's a Derby City guy. Okay.
Yeah, Derby City, I
We
think.
definitely got.
I've never seen him wrestle, I don't think, but
Well, if he's coming to test the waters, he picked a good
Oh,
one
he-
because when you test the waters with a guy like the Zodiac,
yeah.
you're in a fight of a lifetime.
Everybody that's wrestling in New South Wrestling
You either
has
sink or you
is
swim,
is
and
excellent
Zody's-
anyway. So
Zody's your test. You either sink or swim.
That's right.
He is a hard guy to beat.
Yes, he is.
So I picked Zodi on that.
Me too.
okay, this one is our
I
match.
think we know.
We already know who's going to
choice.
win this. We got Adrian Alexander versus Matt Atreya for the Nice Guy Andy Podcast Championship.
I'm just saying, Matt Atreya, do yourself a favor and do me a favor.
He should just not even show up that
Stay
night.
home that day.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you stay home that day, you know, I know you still live in that big house over there in Louisville and all that. If you stay home that day, look, we've known each other for 15, 20 years. If you stay home that day, I'm a man of my word. I'll send you an envelope. You'll enjoy your Sunday instead of getting what we're going to have to do to you if you show up.
Matt, now I know you've been around Scott a long time, but his envelopes have just gotten better and better and better.
That's
Please,
true.
please stay home.
Take
I'm
the offer,
asking you,
man.
please stay
Gave me
home
an envelope once,
and
it
take the
was-
envelope.
It
Yeah.
paid my bills for it.
I guarantee
That's
you,
all I'm
Matt,
saying.
you take the deal, you don't have to worry about getting the ass beaten.
Take the deal,
You'll
Matt.
You'll be living the high life.
Now,
This is Scott
at-
Down.
the last New South show was canceled supposedly due to weather. I think, personally, this is going to cause some confusion. This is going to cause some dismay. I may even get kicked off the podcast. I think Adrian did it because he didn't want to have his match for the title.
Oh,
I
get
think
out
he,
of here.
I think he purposely shut down the power to the whole city. Of
So you're
Lawrenceburg. So
saying that Adrian Alexander,
I think he was scared of Matt Atreya.
look, I'm telling you this, Andy.
Yeah.
Oh my
If
God!
we got, look, if we're going to come
Hey,
in
hey,
here
hey.
and we're going to start something,
Hey,
That's
this
right.
is,
Let me tell
I'm
you
the one
this.
that's.
I'm not going to take disrespect from
That's
Anthony
right.
Presley,
I'm not
and I'm
just-
not going to take it from you either.
That's right, because
So I'm telling you this: if you want to keep talking like that, Sean John, we can go down here to the parking lot right now and
No,
we can
sir.
rub you out.
Sean,
I'm just stating my.
Sean,
opinion.
apologize right now.
I'm not
right now.
apologizing for having a difference of opinion.
Adrian
Get out of my
Alexander-
podcast.
Adrian
I'm telling you
Alexander's a
this.
nice
Apologize. Apologize to
I
Mr.
ain't apologizing nothing.
guy. Adrian Alexander
I hope
would
you're
never
down
do
there in
something
that
like
parking
You're
lot.
out of here.
I'm
better
telling
not-
you this.
better hope that Scott
I'm
doesn't-
Andy, I'm not
Hey,
taking
hey,
this
hey.
disrespect. I
Hey,
come
hold
over
that.
here and I try to put over what's going on in the sport of professional wrestling. I didn't come here
Don't come back,
to
Sean
be
Johns.
disrespected.
And this guy over here tries to insinuate that Adrian Alexander would be scared. No.
Sean
It's
Johns.
Matt
Adrian
Atreya that
Alexander's
took the
not
power.
afraid of any man walking.
Exactly.
Clean out your desk.
Exactly. It was all Matt Trey that was scared. Everyone knows that.
What
Adrian
desk?
Alexander is
Find one.
You know, I'm going to ask you, Andy.
Take out
to-
the garbage.
I'm going to ask you to find him because if you don't find
Oh,
him for
he's-
disrespecting me,
Yeah, he's-
your envelope will be much smaller.
He's gonna be fined big time.
There's another one that's agreeing with Sean. Joe Monroe. He's saying
Joe
Sean,
Monroe?
What?
What do you know, Joe Monroe?
You wasn't there, Joe. It was Matt
There's your
Trey.
fine.
Well,
What is that, 100?
I'm glad he could bring a $100 bill in here. I was thinking more of 1,000, but at least he's going the right track.
Well, we
He
make
just
it,
did
we'll
unspeakable
allow
things
payments
for that money.
We'll allow payments.
right, right.
Who told you?
Well, we know who's going
Right.
to win this match. So let's just move on to the next match.
The house
Fireman,
always wins.
Real quick, Fireman Cam said, "Tell him to sit his ass down, Scott, because Scott can still fight. Well, I'll kick Sean's ass." He said.
Hey.
Hey, look, I still got one in me.
Hey, I'm telling you, Matt Trey cut that power. Everyone
So
knows.
the
Everybody
next
take care.
the next match we have is Myron Reed versus Matt Diesel, and
Gustavo.
Now read that to me one more time.
Myron Reed.
Okay, that's it.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah,
Myron Reed.
That's the star right there.
Let me tell you, this kid, you're going to see him one day main eventing WrestleMania. I'm
Yeah.
going right out there. When these kids came in, him and Mickey, I was so blessed to get them at such a low rate. You wouldn't believe me now if I told you. But this guy, Myron Reed, he is one of the very best going today.
Yes, he is. I've seen him wrestle so many times. He's just great. And him and
Mickey Midas.
Mickey Midas are incredible
They
together.
put on
Two of the
Brotherhood.
greatest light heavyweight guys out there.
I haven't seen Matt Diesel wrestle yet. I don't know anything about him, but
Matt Diesel
he
wrestled
did. Like we tried to get him. Didn't we try to book him and he wanted $50?
Yeah, we tried to book him. He's like,
He wanted us to
"$50,
pay
Come
him.
on."
Yeah.
Even though
We don't
You know,
pay
that
for
is
guests.
people that
Guests
hit him.
seem to pay us. So, you know.
Hey, when you're out here getting your product out,
That's right.
why should you have to pay me? I'm here getting my product out.
The Nice Guy Andy
know?
podcast reaches over 2 million people. So
And to folks that want to do that, that's their thing. But the way I see it is this, certainly some of us do this as a living.
Yeah.
But it's like this: if you don't do advertisement, you're not making a living.
Yeah.
And this right here, you guys are giving us a platform
we're media.
to put our product out there, and we're grateful for that.
Yes.
And so, since you're allowing us to get our product out there, that in itself is payment.
Exactly. Like
That's
it's a
right.
2-hour
That's
it's a
what we
2-hour
want to do.
commercial for you. Like absolutely free usually.
like Mickey Midas, he wants to come on. He said next time he'll do it.
Yeah. Mickey's a great guy. Mickey is an
He
awesome
is.
guy. He is like every time we see him, he's so nice to us. He's so cool to us. He's just a great guy. He wants to talk business with us. He wants to talk to us, and he's just he just stays so busy. He AEW has him over there a lot, and he's just a great character.
It really
And
is.
him
You know,
and Myron are really close, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I love both of those kids to death, and he sent me a very nice video message for my retirement, in-ring retirement there at the last Diamond Bash. And, I'll watch that until I'm just so old that I can't see it no more. And I always remember Mickey, he said, Scott Diamond might be an old fart, but he's still young at heart, and he loves me, and I love him.
That's right.
Oh, I guess Myron Reed is the champ, right? The
Yep.
light heavyweight champion.
Yes, he is.
Like,
Yes, he
okay.
is.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. I wanted to mention that Myron Reed is the champion over there.
He is
So,
the cruiserweight champ.
okay, the next match we have over there is Dustin Jackson, the New South upstart champion versus Drew Hernandez.
Yep.
Look, I'm going with Drew Hernandez anytime.
Me too.
Anytime. He is one bad dude, let me tell you. If you put him into a phone booth with Dustin Jackson, the same thing will happen when you put him in the ring with Dustin Jackson this week. He is going to eat him, chew him up, and spit him out.
Dustin Jackson don't stand a chance against Drew Hernandez.
No. The Mayan Mauler, I believe he calls himself. And let me tell you, Dustin Jackson on Sunday is going to get mauled.
And if you think
Wow,
about
you
the-
think so? You think he's dropping the championship?
If he can get through, again, him and I don't see eye to eye. I tried to interview him. He was one of the first people that I offered the chance to come into the new cartel with.
Yeah.
He disrespected me, and then I had to tell him the truth. He's nothing. If Anthony Presley didn't have all this money to carry Dustin Jackson, he still wouldn't even be on scene.
You
Huh?
can't fire me.
What's that?
I just called my attorney. You cannot fire me.
Well, you might be under contract,
I'm under contract.
but you're going to be under a car if you try to disrespect us again in the parking
All you got to
lot.
do, Sean, is just apologize to Scott Diamond.
And that $100, that goes a little bit, Andy, we can get some good scotch after the show with that $100 that Sean John just paid.
Exactly.
That's very true.
But I'm going all the way with Drew.
Me too. Because if you think about the last match that they fought, who do you think was taking the ass whooping the whole match?
Okay, so the next match is Garrison Creed and Jordan Cage with their manager, beautiful Bobby Blade,
That's right.
and versus Omega D and Mickey Motor.
Mikey.
Mikey Motor. Milky Motor.
Wow.
You know, Mikey has a 2-for-1 special, he says. Well, I was going to say Garrison Creed and
You know,
Cage.
Mikey just won the thumb championship of the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he did.
Yeah. So, you know.
For having his thumb up his butt.
That's
Right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Let me see. Mikey Motors is a fast talker.
Yeah.
And Omega, I don't want to take nothing away from Pitbull. He's a tough guy as well. I think their best chance is Mikey Motor comes in and talks so quick that he just confuses them, and then maybe Omega takes the pin.
There's absolutely no chance of Omega and Mikey Motor beating Garrison Creed and Jordan Cage with Bobby Blade in their corner. There's no chance at all.
Slim to none, and Slim just left
I
town.
mean, think about it.
And I've got a question about that. Why
That's just
is
too
it
bad.
Omega, shut up. Why is it Omega is always in a tag team? He's only had one singles match in New South.
I think somebody's trying to hold him down back
I think
there.
I think
You know,
Tony.
Mr. Presley may be involved in that as well, because he's certainly not doing him a good deed here this Sunday. You know, Garrison, he is a warrior like myself. He paid.
Garrison's a beast.
Right, a mercenary.
He is a mercenary.
A veteran,
and that
right?
is a shoot. Yes, sir.
A veteran.
You
of
know,
the war.
he and I have
Johnny
done
out with the
things that
Sharpie.
people only have nightmares about. So there's nothing that you can say about
like Garrison a lot. I like Garrison.
He is one of those legit tough guys.
Yeah, he is. He is a legit tough guy.
And then you put out there picture perfect Jordan Cage. You know, his moniker explains it right there. And now here's the biggest tip of the scale.
He's awesome in that ring.
When you put a guy like Bobby Blade on the outside, and I'm going on record right here, you know, I've always said I'm one of the greatest wrestling managers ever, and I believe that. And Bobby Blade is right there in the class with Scott Diamond. He is not only a great wrestler, he is one of the greatest managers ever to come down the pike. And when you got a mercenary like Garrison, and you got a guy that, I mean, he's picture perfect, as his name says, and then you put Bobby Blade into that equation,
Well, he beat
without a doubt.
He beat Larry D for the championship. I mean, you know, that tells a story right there by itself. Like, this guy is a champ. I don't know how Lord Crew ever beat Jordan, but I mean, he's a champ. To me, I consider him still the champion myself.
You know, his mind was not in the right place.
Yeah.
I think there for a moment, Andy. And so Lord Crew took advantage of a mental slip, if you will, with Jordan Cage.
Uh-huh.
But now that Bobby Blade is back and Bobby Blade is in the head of Jordan Cage, he's saying, hey, look, focus, brother. Let's do like we've always done, and that's go out and win championships. And that's what Jordan does best. And with a guy like Bobby Blade on the outside, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Garrison, Jordan with Bobby, they're the winners.
When you got a guy that can control traffic from the outside alongside his warriors, there's nothing that can stop him.
That's exactly right.
Next, we have the Box Office Blondes, which are the New South Upstart Tag Team Champions, versus Colorblind, which are the New South Wrestling Tag Team Wrestling Champions.
Wow.
In a non-title affair.
You know,
Wow, is it non-title? It's
That-
non-title? Non-title, yes, non-title.
that is a dream match.
It is. That's
Really-
a crazy.
And I'm going on record right here. You know, Adam Swayze and Big Rex, they're friends of mine.
Have you seen how big
Rex.
Rex is? Like, nobody, like, you guys, you have to come to New South Wrestling this weekend just to see how big Rex is.
I
Like,
guarantee
he is huge, and it's not fat. He's a big,
He is close to 7 feet tall.
like 10 big a human being.
Here's a guy-
so athletic at that size.
Big Rex could pick up a Yugo and smash it in his hands.
Yeah,
He
like a pop can.
he could smash. You know, what's another small car we got out here now? He could pick up any small car and smash it in his hands. That's the strength of Big Rex. And when you talk about brains in the business,
Uh-huh.
Adam Swayze is one of the smartest guys ever to come down the pipe.
And tough too, because if you're hanging out with a guy Big Rex, you got to be tough. To have that big guy's
And smart.
respect. Yes.
And smart.
And smart.
How smart was it of Adam Swayze to align himself with a beast of a man? He's a mountain with a couple of eyeballs. This is what Big Rex is.
Yeah.
That's the smartest man
And-
right there, Adam Sway.
One of the smartest men in New South Wrestling right
He certainly is a very smart man.
Big Rex has only been off his feet a handful of times. You know,
Right.
That's another bad man.
now. So
And,
big.
You know, and again, although they are friends of ours, when you talk about colorblind, you just cannot rule these guys out. You know, Sean Hoodridge, which I was calling him Sean Hoodrat, but he's got my appreciation
Yeah.
and respect now.
And they got those
and
snakes.
Chris Crow. Now I don't want to talk about the snakes because they put one on me one night, and I had to go to the hospital and get my ticker checked and stuff. You know, they wanted to put a pacemaker in. I about had a heart attack right there at ringside. But I cannot rule those guys out. They have proved time in and time out. These are two cats that they have a stamina. You have to kill them to make them stay down.
But those guys have been bumping heads a little bit lately.
I mean,
Don't y'all think? Have y'all seen that?
you gotta understand.
Am I the only one seeing that those guys are bumping heads?
Andy, they're families. And family does tend to sometimes butt heads.
You know, when you spend thousands of miles on the road each week, you know, and you're in the car with each other, 5, 6, 7 hours at one time, your feathers get ruffled a little bit. And as Johnny said, and as Austin was saying earlier, family and brothers, we quarrel at times. And I think that's all really that's probably going on over there with colorblind as well. Now, I don't know. They're not friends of mine.
Yeah.
But just guessing, I know they spend a lot of time on the road together. And when you have to look at somebody day in and day out, then, again, feathers get ruffled and brothers have disagreements.
But you know how smart Adam Swayze is and how big Rex is. They're going to take advantage of any little thing, any little chink in the armor, and to be showing that little chink in the armor to the box office blondes is not very smart.
My advice to them is colorblind better stay on their toes, because if Adam Swayze and Big Rich see any kind of disparagement towards each other, they're going to take advantage of that.
They certainly are. And Adam Swayze, again, one of the smartest men in the wrestling business. If they make a mistake, he'll see it and he'll capitalize on it.
And the next match we'll talk about is one of our favorites, Marty Clay, the X Division champion, which is super jacked, versus another one of our favorites, Oliver Gunn. We love Oliver Gunn, Oliver Gunner. And he's got Ben Sharon in his corner, and them two with Ben Sharon in his corner, that's dangerous for Marty Clay. I think.
Making America Great Britain again.
Again, here's a young team that I'm associated with. I'm trying to give them a little bit of advice here and there. Ben Sharon and I spent some time on the phone, and we've spent some time backstage at several events. Oliver Gunner as well. I've talked to him on the phone a few times, and I've talked to him backstage many a time. They got something really beautiful going on with the two of them. And when you put Marty Clay into that equation, I think he and Oliver Gunner, that in itself would almost be a draw, because both of them are so talented. Again, the tipping of the scale is when you have Ben Sharon on the outside.
Marty's such a star. He's got so many championship belts right now. He's an APW champ. He's the EWA champ. He's a
former AMW, Appalachian Mountain Wrestling champion.
Exactly. Oh my God, he is this kid is going nowhere but the top. And with the Cal Maggard on his side and Noble.
John Noble.
Noble.
He was trained by the great John Noble.
John Noble.
John Noble, if you're watching this, nothing but love, brother. One of the greatest basketball coaches, and one of the greatest wrestling coaches ever to come out of Hazard, Kentucky.
John Noble grabbed up Marty Clay as a young basketball star and turned him into a wrestling god.
He certainly did.
Marty Clay right now, if y'all didn't know, but in Lexington, Kentucky, when WWE had SmackDown here, Karrion Kross blatantly stole Marty Clay's finisher. And you know what? The fact they did it on home turf of Marty Clay showed you right there. He watched Marty Clay and he stole the move.
Waited till Marty was out of state.
That's exactly right.
So people, if y'all see the move, it was Deadest Man Curve. So when Karrion Kross says, name the move for him, you tell him. Marty Clay's calling it Dead Man's Curve.
He ought to name it Marty Clay.
That's exactly right.
The move should be named Marty Clay. I'm doing the Marty Clay on people.
Love it.
That is going to be a great match.
I'm never not going to be a fan of Marty Clay. Marty Clay has been such a beautiful, talented young man. He comes to this podcast anytime we ask him, we are huge fans of Marty Clay.
That's going to be a great match, and I'm going to be sitting in ringside for that for sure.
And we don't hate Oliver Gunner because I like Oliver Gunner a lot. He's so smart. Oliver Gunner's so smart, and then to have Ben Sharon in his corner too. How smart is that?
And it's for me, it is so great to sit down with a guy that is so classy, such as Oliver Gunner, because Scott Diamond's a classy guy.
Yeah,
and having the opportunity to sit down with another guy just as as classy, like Oliver Gunner, it just gives me hope in the next generation wrestlers.
he is so classy. You can just kind of take that, like you can just look at him and see like the class of this guy.
He just oozes it,
Yeah.
and with people like Oliver Gunner, Austin Diamond, Marty Clay, Adrian Alexander, with this young, these Cubs coming up, this sport is in great hands.
He's got to be.
Straight.
He's straight from straight Britain. He's got to be kinfolk to the king. Wouldn't you think?
I'll tell you, I think he probably is.
He's got to be associated with the king. Like he's just that classy.
He's certainly royalty.
Classy one.
And if I'm not mistaken, you could check with him on this. When the Queen passed away, he flew back to Britain to go to her services.
Yeah.
Now they just don't invite everybody to go to things like that.
They don't.
But Oliver Gunner, he
He's
had
gotta
an
be family.
invite.
He's got to be family. I'd
That's
say.
right. And you were saying Austin Diamond.
I love it. Marty's an innovative guy. That's what took him to the top at EWA. It might just take him to the top here, but like we were saying earlier, Ben Sharon controlling traffic from the outside. Oliver Gunner is more than capable on his own, being the ring general champion.
Exactly.
But again, with Ben Sharon out there, it's not just the standard one-on-one contest. It's now a two-on-one contest.
That's exactly right.
Well, and being the ring general
And,
podcast champion, that's not being the Nice
this
Guy
is
Andy
gonna be
podcast
a
champion.
That's
little
right.
tender subject. Marty Clay has yet to defeat Oliver Gunner in
That's
any
true.
kind of
That's very
competition.
true.
And that's got to be weighing on Marty Clay's mind in the back of his head. He's thinking, I've never got the Duke on this guy. And here I am carrying the X Division Championship. I'm going to put it on the line. He's got to have that little thought in the back of his head.
Yeah.
I've never beat him. This may be my last title reign.
Yeah, it might. You think it's a desperation? Like he has to. Marty Clay feels like this is a mountain that he has to get over before he can go to the next step.
I think it's something that really it is because,
Yeah.
again, in the back of his mind, it's got to be bothering him that he's never got the Duke over him. And if he overthinks this too much, Oliver Gunner's going to take him to school.
Yes, he is.
That's right, because he never beat Oliver
And
Gunner.
yeah,
Okay, the next match, and I
Main
think
event.
the main event match of this weekend, Country Boy Brewing taking over New South Wrestling, is Lord Crew versus
Flying Brian Pillman Jr.
Brian Pillman Jr., which just got taken off the AEW roster, right?
Right now it's rumored that he was. If it's true, then anyone that picks him up is gonna have a red hot talent.
Brian
That's all
Pillman
I'll
Jr.
say.
just I think he just got either released or released himself from AEW.
Just that, and
I
think
heard
his
that
contract-
WWE is looking at him, right?
Yeah,
How could they not be?
exactly.
right.
He's a damn champion.
And
He's
if you
he's royalty in wrestling,
Yeah, and
right?
if you think about it, his dad was his dad.
legacy.
His dad and I grew up 6 miles apart. We're about the same age.
That's right.
I'd see him. He played football for Norwood, Ohio.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he wrestled. And his football accolades got him a shot with the Bengals up there, Cincinnati Bengals, And a guy, a radio DJ, a journalist, you should say, a radio journalist, got him a spot, to go over to get a tryout with the Bengals. And, some of you guys up there in the Cincinnati area might remember Bob Trumpy. But Bob Trumpy helped Brian Pillman Sr. To get his foot in the door, and then the rest is history. But this weekend, because I've seen both of these men work, I think Brian Pillman Jr., I think his father's shadow sometimes it puts a dark cloud over him. It's this big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
That's right.
And when you got a guy like Lord Crew, look, this cat he's been
He's
in
a
the
badass.
trenches.
He really is.
he's a legit. You know,
He's
like
legit badass.
You know, they used to talk about Dickie Slater. He was the same guy in the ring and out of the ring. Lord Crew is the same way. You know, you see Lord Crew and you cross him out on the street, you're going to have a hell of a fight on your hands. And, you know, I have to give Lord Crew this one because, again, look who he took the strap from. He took it from Jordan Cage.
Yeah.
That in itself is an accomplishment.
Which took it from Larry D. So, like, that's just kind of
Speaks
like
volumes.
Yeah,
you know?
speaks. Yeah. I mean, a guy that beat Larry D. and then you beat that guy, like, that's
and, you know,
incredible.
And Lord Crew and Larry D have mixed it up a time or two in the past as well.
Yeah.
And look, Lord Crew is still there knocking people down.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I
He's
have
a
to
hell
say,
of a
Lord
chance.
Crew, he retains the title this week.
From Lord Crew is a different cat from when he was in when we were at the National Guard Armory last year to now. Have you seen how jacked he is now? Like
was jacked
from
back then,
then,
too.
I know he was then, but he is so much bigger now. Like he is.
He puts the work in.
Yeah,
he really
he's in
does.
that. You can tell he's in that gym, like lifting all the time and honing his skills. Because that dude, like he is so much more jacked than he was last
That's what
year.
I want to be. That's why I've been hitting the gym.
Yeah, you
Well,
gotta
I
hit
tell
it.
you, he's another guy. You know, you've heard me say it many times. If you want to be successful in professional wrestling, you have to do something wrestling related every day.
Yeah.
And that's either go to the gym, you know, train in the ring,
Watch tape.
watch tapes, study tapes.
Yep.
You know, go out there and not only get your body in shape, but get a good tan. You know, you don't want to come out looking like a glass of milk.
Yeah.
And Lord Crew, he's done that. You know, as you were saying, he's even more jacked than he was a year ago. He's continuously building on himself. And again, my Duke this week has to be Lord Crew.
I
He
think so
retains
too.
the title.
I think so too.
That's my pick, too.
Austin, what do you think?
We were just talking earlier, man, about talent being hereditary.
Yeah.
Anybody that knows me knows that I am extremely partial to Brian Pillman Sr.
That's right.
And just by that alone, I've got to give it to Pillman Jr.
Yeah.
You know, he was running with Griff Garrison. He was doing some good things. He was running with Arn Anderson's boy, Brock. I got to give it to Little Pillman.
You know what? If he gets picked up by WWE, poetic justice right there, because his dad was inside WWF, so what fitting way than to have Brian Pillman Jr. continue where he left off.
And,
Yeah.
you know, not to take anything away from Brian Pillman Jr., but I'm just not nearly as familiar with him as I am his father. But, you know, for selfish reasons, I would love to see him signed because, in turn, that would mean that they would start pumping out more Brian Pillman Sr. merchandise.
That's right,
and that
yes.
would just be amazing
And
for me.
Exactly.
Just know this. The loose cannon gimmick was one of the best gimmicks I've ever seen because not only did Brian Pillman work Eric Bischoff into actually firing him, but he worked ECW and made them believe that he really was going to piss out that
Cyberslam.
ring.
CyberSlam 1997.
That's right.
Look, I've got no
96.
shame in saying. Oh, was it 96?
96,
I'm
yeah.
going to flip this table. Hang on. You know what? No,
Guys,
no.
we-
We're looking it up right now. Shut up, Andy. You're not a part of this. Absolutely not. No,
I
we're talking
loved
about
it.
Brian Pillman.
I loved it when he said, "A book a man," because that
Yeah.
right there shows you what loose cannon Brian Pillman was all about.
All right, I have another question here from Alan Doss, the Big Doss Man's oldest son. And it asks, will you or Austin ever be on that same level as the Big Doss Man asking for a friend?
Well, I mean, if I need somebody to carry my bag with his broke knee, I'll be sure to holler. But, you know, aside from that, I don't think he serves much purpose to us, the Diamond, anymore.
All I want to say to that is, have we seen the Big Doss Man wrestle since the day Scott Diamond took a cinder block and broke it over his leg with a 12-pound sledge?
No, we have not.
He refereed that match at the birthday bash.
And he was hobbling then.
Yeah, he was.
You know what?
He came into the podcast studio and was kind of hobbling that day, wasn't
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it
he,
was.
and he was talking about
When
this
he
good
slapped
part,
me
but
around for no
he?
You
He
saw
slapped
what
Sean,
happened.
which you probably would like that because he slapped Sean around a little bit.
he did.
All right, well, maybe he's not all bad.
He grabbed his shoulder and he's like, "Tell me who did this, Johnny." Then as soon as I point out John, he grabs John. He said, one time, John went down.
My jaw still hurts, and that was.
You know, the Big Doss Man and I were Elite Patrol tag team champions, and he is a big, menacing individual. I've seen him almost make guys cry. I've seen him almost have guys pee on themselves. He had done an interview with someone, and the guy was so scared he only did half the interview.
Yeah.
And so
He's a menacing guy. Like he is
he's
very,
very menacing. Look,
yeah. He's
actually-
intimidating a little bit.
That's right, the intimidating.
I walked into a restaurant in Frankfurt and walked straight through the kitchen into the boss's office in the back. And I didn't work at this place.
Yeah.
But it don't matter to me. When I get hot under the collar, I'm going wherever I want.
Exactly.
And I'm bringing hell with me.
You damn straight.
And so after I go through the employee-only door and stuff, I then go through the kitchen telling these 3 or 4 guys, you know what? Keep staring. I'll get whatever you got in your eye out right here and just give me a second. Let me bullshit your manager right here. And swung open the manager's door. This is a true story.
Yeah.
Swung open the manager's door and told him I didn't like the way he was taking up for his employees because he wasn't. And so if he wanted to step outside, I'm going to beat these 3 guys in the kitchen. I'm going to beat their ass. And then if you want to follow me outside, I'll beat your ass when I'm done with them. So the guy got so scared, I think he had to go change his diaper, but he did finally walk outside with me. And, of course, I'm not a dumb guy. I'm a very smart guy. At the time, but the Big Doss Man and I were Elite Patrol. And so I called him, and I said, hey, Big Doss Man, this is where I'm at. I done went through 3 guys, but I'm taking the manager outside right now. You want to meet me at this establishment? I don't want to say it. They'll probably sue me.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you a true story. And so when I take the manager outside, they had this little table and chair sitting there, you know. And so the guy's shaking so bad, he almost didn't even sit down in the chair. He almost missed the chair. That's how bad he was shaking. Not 30 seconds after we sit down and I tell him, look, this is what's going to happen. The Big Doss Man drives up in his big truck. You know, most guys, it would take a step ladder to get out of that thing, but he's so tall, you know, he'd step down. He steps over the top of the ropes. So this manager of this conglomerate sits down, and I sat down, and I'm just, you know, fingering his face, telling him how it's going to be. The Big Doss Man pulls up, gets out of the truck, comes over, and he sits down in a chair about 8 or 10 inches away from this guy, and he never says a word. Never said a word. He just kept staring at the guy. And when the guy just, he couldn't handle it. He took about a minute, maybe 2 minutes. And so the guy said, can I help you? And I said, don't worry about him. He's here to protect you, to keep me from kicking your ass like I did those 3 guys in your kitchen. And let me tell you, that guy was buying Bobby's lunch. He was buying his dinner. He was sending his wife flowers. He was thanking the Big Doss Man so that Scott Diamond didn't do the same thing to him in the parking lot, what I did to his 3 cooks in the back.
Damn
Yeah.
straight.
He is very intimidating, the Big Doss is.
We had a lot of great times, you know, and
Shout out to Doss Heating and Air.
yeah, Dawson Sons Heating and Air. If you need something done with your heating and air, give the Big Doss Man a call. But, you know, and the Big Doss Man said this as well. We were brothers. We had some disagreements. And so, you know, with disagreements, brothers fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And we had a big fight. And
I may fight with my brother, but you're not going to.
Damn
it's exactly right. It's exactly
Exactly.
right. I can say that. He can say that. But you can't.
Exactly.
straight.
So-
the way it goes, man.
That's the way it goes. That's the
And
way
you
it
know,
goes.
As he proved at the Scott Down birthday bash, at first he was saying Block Party was going to be for
I-
you, but then he was like, nah,
Swerve.
this my
I
brother.
enjoyed so much having
Because
Doss
he
in the-
knew.
No, he knew.
He knew very much.
He didn't want that other knee to be, you know, he had to have surgery on that knee.
Yeah.
So he didn't want another knee surgery.
He knew that even though you were retiring, you could take that knee out and give him a block party himself.
That's
Guys,
exactly
we've
right.
been on here 2 hours already, and I think I want to call it quits because the air conditioning is kind of hot in here. So we want to kind of get out of here and let Scott Diamond, Austin Diamond get on back to their house and do what, you know, they got cartel business to
That's
handle,
right.
I'm sure. At this point in the podcast, I'll let everybody say their ending quote.
Start.
Go ahead, Sean Johns, the Wrestling Encyclopedia. Go ahead.
If he don't apologize, he don't say nothing.
Damn straight.
Make sure you apologize, Sean. All you got to do is say, I'm sorry, Scott Diamond, you wonderful,
tell him.
Don't tell me
great,
what to say.
Tell him, I'm sorry, Mr.
three-time.
Diamond.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry that what I said struck a nerve with you. Anyways,
That's close enough.
It's close enough.
I still maintain the truth. But I'd like to thank Scott and Austin for coming in. Austin, thank you for
not putting me in my place. The Terry Funk reference
That's okay, 'cause next time
earlier.
we will.
I'd hate to have to get my size 14 dirty.
And let me tell you something, Andy.
Yeah.
These two guys was the same as they are right now when he was like 12 or 13 and this kid was 5 or 6.
Yeah.
They were doing the same thing.
He's still putting it up. Hey, something, great things never change. Johnny and Andy, you guys have been great. I'm glad. I hope that what I paid in on the fine does you all well.
Hey, we're going to use that $100 for a bottle of scotch, aren't we,
Hey,
Andy?
that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah,
That's gonna be
exactly.
good.
That's fine. And everybody stay nice.
Johnny, go next.
I just want to say thank you to the Diamond Cartel, Austin Diamond. Brother, you're doing great things.
I appreciate that, Johnny. Much love
Scott
to you.
Diamond. Diamonds are forever, baby.
Forever, baby.
Yeah.
And Andy, Sean, y'all been great. But Sean, you need to apologize. 'Cause
I did apologize.
Matt Treya is the real scaredy cat.
Nah.
Everyone knows that.
Nah.
Yeah. I think Matt
Stay nice
Treya
there,
made it
buddy.
rain that day.
Exactly. He was scared.
I think it was his tears.
I
Of,
did apologize. How you gonna tell me to apologize?
His
when I-
tears short-circuited the electric.
is what it was, yeah.
That's what it was.
That's right. Stay nice there, buddy.
Austin Diamond.
1 year in the business, you haven't gotten rid of me yet. You won't see the end of me. I'm here. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. Mr. Diamond, feel free.
You know, I just want to tell you guys thank you for allowing us to have this platform to get our news out there. We've got a lot going on. Elite Wrestling Alliance, you know, again, August the 5th. Great show, great event going on right there. And this weekend, this coming Sunday, New South Wrestling, a lot going on there. You know, we have the big match, myself and Adrian Alexander against Matatreya. On a serious note, you know, Matatreya is a great wrestler. Adrian Alexander is a great wrestler. It's going to be a great competition. The difference will be Scott Diamond on the outside because I will be on the outside this week. But that still is going to be a match that everybody is going to want to watch. New South has got a stacked card this week. So make sure you get out there. And also, most importantly, I want everyone to write down on their calendar August the 12th. That's a Saturday. Saturday, August the 12th. Scott Diamond's been on the phone. I've got somebody coming in town, and it's going to be a big, big surprise. We're going to do it right here in the Nice Guy Andy podcast studio. We are going to have a live Diamond Exchange with a great big guest that Scott Diamond is bringing in.
That's right.
So everybody go out and support pro wrestling. There's an independent show almost in every city in your state. Go out and support it. We're there. We do great things. If you love wrestling, if you haven't seen an independent show, you're cheating yourself. So go out and support independent wrestling. Anytime you see Scott or Austin Diamond on the marquee, put your money down. You're going to get your money's worth. So, again, thank you guys for having us. Thank you guys for always supporting us. Support local wrestling. It's everywhere. And Scott Diamond, Austin Diamond, we'll see you at ringside.
That's right.
I want to thank you guys for coming in. Thanks, Scott, for coming in. Like always, every time we ask you, you're always here. Austin, you're such a talent. You're so good on the mic.
I agree.
I love to have you. I love coming to have you in here.
He's so
I think
honest.
that sometime we ought to get together and let you come in and
show
have
the
your own
world.
host a show with whoever you want.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love that. Like you can have whoever you want to come in, and I'll sit here and me and Johnny be your supporting cast.
Yeah.
Of course, your dad's always invited to the studio.
Love that.
I'm looking forward to the Diamond Cartel coming to the Nice Guy Andy podcast studio. I feel very honored by that. I'm very honored that you've hosted the show one time before, and this next show coming on August the 12th will be not the Nice Guy Andy podcast. It will be
The
Diamond Exchange. The Diamond Exchange.
The Diamond Exchange with Scott and Austin
With
Diamond.
Scott and Austin Diamond. And me and Johnny will be here, but we'll be in the background, and we'll let you guys just do y'all's thing.
It's going to be a big, big surprise.
Big surprise. August the 12th. The Diamond Exchange is back, baby. We'll make this maybe it's the start of something new for the Diamond Exchange, and we can have them. We can host you guys on the Nice Guy Andy podcast Facebook page and the YouTube channel. Guys, thinking about the YouTube channel, we are almost monetized on the YouTube channel. Go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the Nice Guy Andy podcast. Tell your friends. We need all the subscriptions we can get. View everything that we got over there. Check it out. If you don't want to sit there and watch it, just turn it on and let it play. That way we can get some views. The Facebook page. Go over to the Facebook page, Nice Guy Andy podcast Facebook page. We got the Nice Guy Andy page. We got the Andrew Watkins page, which is my page, which I just now got monetized again on there. So just go, check me out. Nice Andrew Watkins on Facebook. Comment, like, comment, and share anything we have on our pages. Superfly Johnny Lee, go check him out on Facebook. Everything, you guys go over there and like, comment, share. Get involved. Be involved with the podcast. We want all the wrestlers, all the fans. This show is for fans. We bring you guys wrestlers all the time. This is a show for the wrestlers. We support the wrestlers, the independent local talent. We support independent local businesses and independent local musicians. So the Nice Guy Andy podcast is here for you guys. So go over and give us $5 a month subscriptions. And we have a lot of, like you see, we have a lot of sponsors right now. So we are actually doing pretty good. So, but everything counts. So you guys go over there. We are monetized on Facebook, and we do make money from Facebook just a little bit. They don't pay us like they used to, but we are building this thing. We'd love to get monetized on YouTube. So guys, go over there, check it out. Check out our Spotify too. We are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on all Apple on podcast platforms everywhere. Check out Bobby Blade's YouTube channel, because I'm sure he's really close to. He's got more subscribers to us. I'm sure he's really close to getting monetized himself. Bobby Blade has dedicated his time off of wrestling. When he was off of wrestling for a while, he's back now in doing the management. Thanks to us, the Nice Guy Andy podcast. He gives us credit for that, and we take credit for that, because Bobby Blade is definitely needed in independent wrestling.
That's
so
right.
go do us a favor, do him a favor, go over and subscribe to his YouTube channel.
And don't forget to subscribe to Trippin' Balls YouTube channel, Crush Your Bones Forever.
And his Twitter. And go over to Fandito versus Superfly Johnny Lee on YouTube and give him a subscription. Give him a subscriber.
That's
and
right. I'll be kicking his ass soon.
And make sure you go to the Nice Guy Andy podcast YouTube channel and watch Sean John sing.
No,
because
we don't talk
that's
that.
the best
We don't
video
talk that
ever.
video.
That's
And
great.
We don't
guys,
talk about that, no.
Now,
I think that's
Andy,
all I
what's-
gotta say.
What's that top comment on your monitor, Andy?
What is it?
What's that top comment there on that left side? Nah, don't scroll.
Where?
There you go, right there. It's about the second one down, third one down now. Seems like somebody's got something to say about Scott Diamond. Top one now.
Cam,
This one?
Yep.
That's the
God,
one.
You ain't gonna do crap like I said.
Come
Come
find
find
me.
me and bring your son, and we can do it. We can go right now. We don't need to wait till the next EWA show.
what is Cam beef?
Exactly. What is Cam?
So is that Party Man Cam?
Yeah, Party Man Cam.
Well, let me just say, Party Man Cam, when you step up to Scott Diamond, just like when Johnny Lee and I was there doing commentary, when you stepped up, I turned your party into a nightmare. And brother, when you get in Scott Diamond's face and you start talking that trash, I will end your party.
And I guarantee you.
What's up,
Austin
John
will tell you
Gilbert?
too.
Hey, John.
Party Man Cam.
Big John.
Big
tell
John
you
Gilbert says,
something.
my dogs. What's up, John? Hey, we still got to get with you, John, because we're going to have this eat-off over at Big Kahuna.
Right.
Big John
Yeah.
Gilbert versus Lobo on this eat-off at the Big Kahuna
Austin's
coming
Big John
soon.
all
So
the way.
That
Big
guy
John
right
all
there.
the way.
Say, pardon
Cooler
me.
than a cucumber on a cold Caribbean day.
shout out to Andrew Doo Browning. We miss you at the podcast, man. We got to get you over here.
That's right.
And if you-
Andrew,
and
much
if-
love to you and your grandmother.
And like I always say, if you're not having fun,
You ain't getting none.
damn
Damn
skipping.
You.
Those were expensive shoes. You know, you guys, that diamond is custom made.
yeah.
But those were expensive shoes.
Nice Guy Andy podcast.
I had to do that.
You know, help with cracking every time I hear Cam is upset.
Pretty man canned ham couldn't lick my
That diamond is
boots.
custom
Ain't what your
made.
mama said.
If he keeps popping off at the mouth, I'm gonna be his dad.
Anyways,
Scott,
You guys go on your little rinky-dink bullshit podcast.
This
is a Zodiac. I'm telling you now, meditate, elevate, and dominate. Do it with the Nice Guy Andy podcast.
Wait, man, I'll take this bottle to somebody really quick.
What's the Nice Guy Andy podcast?
Not far, man.